All right. What's up, everybody? How you doing out there? Welcome back to the show. This is last week's fights. My name is Thinker St. James, and tonight we are going to be going over each and every fight from UFC Fight Night Machado Garry versus Prates, taking a look at next week or this coming week, which is UFC Fight Night Sandhagen versus Figueiredo, talking about a couple of current events as well. And to do all of that with me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, the Ohio player, my co-host, a man who flew all the way to Kansas City to shit talk Anthony Smith from the audience, Chase Parton. How are you, sir?
I'll take credit for it. I was definitely shit talking him in spirit with that guy. No, but I'm doing great. This was another eventful weekend. I'll say that. Some news came in today that will make, we'll talk a little later about. So, weary on that. But as of right now, I'm still in a good mood to talk about some good fights. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. Keep the energy up for it because these were some fun fights, man. I really liked this. You know, we're coming off of an off week. We had a little bit of a break there after a very long stretch of fights. So it was a little bit of a downtime. You know, I think a lot of fight fans didn't really know what to do with themselves for that weekend, but we came back to a really good event. So I was very happy with the quality level. What'd you think of this card overall?
Listen, these people came out like they wanted jobs. Let me tell you that. These people wanted to continue fighting in the UFC. Most of them looked pretty damn good. Even the ones that lost, there's a few that didn't look good, but the ones that did lose, like, up until a certain point, they looked pretty damn good. So I'll give a lot of credit to a lot of these people.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. So, you know, as always, if you are new to the show, we are going to be going over each and every fight from this card, Machado Garry versus Prates. If you have anything that you want to talk about that is not pertaining to the fight that we are currently discussing, you can put it in the chat. Remind us a little bit later in the stream. We'll come back and address it at that time. But to get into this card itself, this was UFC Fight Night Machado Garry versus Prates. This took place at the T-Mobile Center, Kansas City, Missouri. What did you think of the audience and the atmosphere in Kansas City, sir?
The audience was pretty good. They were quick to boo on a lot of fights, which was pretty good because it got these motherfuckers hot. Like they were ready to fight after they started hearing the first set of boos. So I liked it. The crowd was, listen, I always say this. It's like, it's you go to arenas and like sometimes you don't notice the crowd or you don't notice there's a difference in the arena compared to another arena. I'll say this one does have a vibe of like, okay, coming back to Kansas City will be good. Like I can't wait for another one.
No, I agree. I think the only thing that is like the flip side of that, though, is that the crowd was getting spoiled because we went into this thing with a lot of finishes and like good fights, even without the finishes of like later on past. So, I mean, like there were only a couple of like maybe one. I think that there was just one fight that like stands out to me as like a kind of a sleeper fight, but even the fights that were not the best ones were still like had entertaining elements to them, and of course we'll talk through all of them as we go here. So yeah, I enjoyed Kansas City. I thought it was a really good atmosphere, you know, and Lorisenko is from Kansas City, and shout out to Lorisenko on achieving her BJJ black belt after a long time of training and all of that. So you know, Sanko doing the damn thing. I thought she's fine on commentary, and you know,
And she wears a suit well. Tell you that.
The comment that I made on the watch along was that Sanko looked like because Vitz had said she looked like a lawyer, but what I said was that she looked like Madonna playing a lawyer in a Madonna music video. Like, it was like sort of lawyerish, but still sort of like stylized. I was like, okay, I can dig it. Sanko with her pantsuits is like its own sort of vibe.
It's like
She
WNBA coach vibes. Like that's what.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but she can pull it off. She's all right with that.
I mean,
So.
she's like, when you rank her, I mean, there's like Bruce Buffer up behind her. I mean, I'd have to put her over Brendan Fitzgerald or Dom or any of those guys because they never come out and I'm like, man, that's a nice suit they're wearing. Dom don't even wear the jacket sometimes. He don't even give a shit.
Well, don't get me started on DC. I mean, that's a whole nother that's a whole nother swag. But yeah, no, two people that can rock the floral very well, Buffer and then Sanko a close second. So
Yes, absolutely.
well, let's jump right into these fights. Why don't we? Chelsea Chandler versus Jocelyn Edwards. I had a lot to say about this fight on the last episode of this show, and I am very, very happy to say that I was incorrect about this fight. What did you think, Chase?
Well, first we have to start out with how the fight began. Not the fight itself, but the fight, the walkout is when the fight begins. You got to set the tone. And when Chelsea Chandler, actually, I didn't even get to see her walkout. We were on commercial for a lot of the walkouts. I wanted to make that point. Thank you,
Mm,
ESPN, for the fucking all access.
yeah.
Chelsea Chandler shows up in the ring when we get back from commercial break. And, when you're growing up and you always hear like, people like, man, you lost weight or you look like you've gained weight or something like that. You don't really understand it until you're a little older when you see people like Chelsea Chandler, who you've watched miss weight like 7 different times. And then she comes in here looking emaciated. I don't know if you noticed, she must have went on Ozempic. I'm serious. She looked the skinniest she's ever looked. Her cheeks were all sunken in still. I don't know if she just had a rehydration issue. I have no idea. And it lines up exactly with the KO finish because she got overwhelmed instantly. Jocelyn Edwards is not no fiend on the feet here, but she walked in there and put the striking on her, put her on her ass, finished it first round. I mean, there's not much more to say other than she looked crazy ill or something. I'm just saying.
No, yeah, the leanness was definitely noticeable. That you're absolutely right about that. The way that they described it on commentary was that she was really taking the training camp seriously and all that kind of stuff. So the weight just came off naturally because of that. I'm like, okay, if that's the case, I don't. I wasn't watching the weigh-ins for this event. Sometimes I'll try to catch those. I don't know if she came in underweight or if it was just like that's what she should look like at the weight that she needs to come in at. But both of them made weight. Both of them have weight miss issues in the past. So at least that aspect of it was good. But you are correct that she definitely looked, noticeably thinner. And then, I mean, the other note that I had for that aspect of it, not the weight part, but her specifically, was that I thought that she was moving somewhat decently early in this fight. Like she was, at least moving her head. She was at least like trying to, stay like active. She wasn't flat footed. Which I think could have been a good forward progression had she kept with it and actually laid on some striking of her own. I don't know if, like you were saying, that the weight, maybe there were some other issues therein that were keeping her from being her best in this fight. But all I know is that Edwards got that takedown super easy when Chandler overcommitted to the tie clinch, and Edwards did like the tree trunk falling, like the tree falling kind of deal on her. Yeah, just swept and bam, down, straight down. And then other than that, I mean, it was just a few nice kicks from Edwards. Good composure for her because Chandler was being a little bit jittery, and then a powerful flurry gets the TKO. I was stunned by this. I thought that this was the most in the bag decision win of all time coming in. Like, if there was ever going to be a fight that I was going to go method of victory on, it was probably going to be that one because of how confident I was in that. I'm glad that I didn't. But, yeah, I could imagine a lot of people getting very upset by thinking that Jocelyn Edwards was going to win this fight by decision and it going the way that it went.
Yeah, I can absolutely agree. Like, I don't know, again, I'm think I'm sticking with the weight cut thing because Chelsea Chandler is one of these people that I have seen kind of put on a dogfight performance where she's not going to go down too easy. She went down very easy on this one, especially to somebody who's not some killer on the feet. I was expecting a lot more in the grappling, from both of them. I thought that there was, that first flurry, you make it or you get stopped, to make her miss kind of league. And I thought that the ref was probably not going to stop it, but Chelsea Chandler obviously wasn't, providing anything back and covering up. So This one was hurtful to the soul because I mean, I had money line for Jocelyn. Surprisingly, I don't normally do this, guys, but I definitely was waiting for that decision. So
Well, I did want to touch on the stoppage here because it seemed like it was slightly early. Chandler was shelling up, like you said. So I mean, like I can't be mad at that part of it, but it did feel like it was a hair early. And then when we're going to talk about the next fight, I was like, that was like we're forming a pattern. It didn't necessarily stay throughout the entire event, but like this one was like I kind of got like a little bit of a a note in my mind about that. I was like, that seemed like maybe it was a little bit early. And then we had a bunch of weird commission stuff on this card in general. So that was like the first sort of inkling of it that there might be some weirdness on this one. And of course, being out in Kansas City, not one of the major fight cities that the has a lot of representation often, so like you're going to get what you get out of the commission there, and this was just like the start of it, I think. But this was not the most egregious early stoppage, so I just want to at least bring that up.
yeah, there's another one on the card that we'll talk about. Actually, next fight. No, yeah, next
Yeah,
fight we'll
next
talk about one.
exactly. That's why I was like back to back. It was like, oh god, I hope this isn't going to be the entire card, but
In
it
the
wasn't.
moment, this one did not feel early for me. The next one we'll talk about, but this one here, no, I mean, she was done. She was not going to be able to get back from this one. It didn't feel like it. So
Yeah, I agree. Like she didn't protest it or anything either. It was probably correct. It could have gone a little bit longer for my taste, but that was just a note there. The other thing that I wanted to say about this is that at this point you have to cut Chelsea Chandler.
I
Like
was on the way to say it right there, buddy. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I mean that's it. That is point blank. Period. I mean we have time. Like we were talking about it the last fight. I was like, there is no way that she's getting another fight after that performance and missing weight in that one. A performance like this, there's nothing left. I mean, you really, really have to make the call on this one already. Like unless you just want to continue having her be a feeder for other fighters, but like if you're already gonna have her fight Jocelyn Edwards, who I've never really been very impressed with, she gets the win there. It's like, are you just trying to prop up other okay fighters at this point? Like you're not even like feeding her to like young hungry prospects that are going to run through her and make a name off of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Chelsea, hate to say it, girl, but this if this was your best camp and you were on weight because this was naturally what you're supposed to look like. I mean, naturally you're just not built for the bantamweight division, and that's hurtful because there's no other division for the women that you're gonna be able to fight at that size. So
Yeah, it's one of the unfortunate truths of the sport that just sometimes it's not for everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
So yeah, anything else about Jocelyn Edwards, or we good
She
here?
didn't look as good as I normally remember her doing. Like I wasn't drooling this match, but she did very, very well. Obviously, with a knockout, she's going to be top of the pound for pound list when I ever get back to updating that.
I don't recall. Was she wearing white?
She was not wearing white, I don't think. I don't
Well,
think.
then I know that was something that stuck out for you. So hopefully
Yeah,
next fight, she'll stick around. So.
yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move on here. Timmy Kwamba versus Roberto Romero. Is Timmy Kwamba's nickname Twilight?
Yes, Timmy Twilight.
I mean, if it wasn't already bad enough that you're coming in with the name Timmy, Timmy Twilight, I don't know. Maybe this is just a me thing, but it definitely does not inspire like fear in the hearts of your opponent, I would think.
Yes. So I want to actually say that I was almost right on the money had this fight continued past where it was stopped. I would like to bring up that Timmy Kwamba, dude, the fucking commentary could not shut up about his weight. They're like, man, he looks really small for this division. Like, he's like a true bantamweight. The scientists have told us. It's like, what the fuck are you guys? Like, that was like one of the key things. Like, they said like something like a doctor or a nutritionist or a scientist. They were like, Timmy Kwamba, bantamweight. No reason he should be a featherweight.
Mm.
Anyway, going into this matchup, they also said, I don't know if this was a mistake on their end, but it was Roberto Romero's debut at the weight as well.
He might have been fighting at a different weight in the Onama fight. What was Onama fighting at in this one?
I think it was I think it's featherweight. Yeah, still featherweight.
Oh, I
But
don't know. Then maybe both of them were fighting a weight up
I
just
don't
because
know.
it was short notice.
Maybe that was a mistake. But either way, they could not shut the fuck up about that. I thought they both looked fine. They both looked pretty evenly matched up. Roberto's pretty stocky, and Timmy Kwamba's a little lanky, but it is what it is. during the fight started off exactly how I thought it was going to be. First round was actually a little slow. Now, when I rewatched it, I showed my dad, but at the time I was still riding on this being like fight of the night candidate. Now, you get into the second round, and this is after Timmy Kwamba has been throwing flying knees that have been nowhere close to landing. He's been jumping out his shoes. He's been throwing combinations that were never going to land, but he did split Roberto open on top of his head magically. And Roberto, in my opinion, he was walking out there, putting on that Mexican spirit, getting in his face, not backing down. And then what happens? Timmy Kwamba throws the fourth knee that magically hits him right on the button this time, sits Roberto down, and then Roberto is having trouble getting up. But as I rewatch it and in the moment, I don't think that should have been stopped as it was. He was still physically trying to get up. I know his arm was like not registering with him, like he kind of fell over. But even to my dad's point, this was an early stoppage. He agrees. This one, he could have went further. So I'll
Oh,
let you
this
know.
was definitely an early stoppage. Absolutely, yeah. Because I know what you were talking about. Because I think Senko said that on the commentary where she was like, "Oh, his hands not like it wasn't like he was trying to utilize it. Like it looked like he was stiffened up basically." And I was like, even if he was out for like a split hair of a second, he was still in motion
Mhm.
and wanting to get himself back to it. Like, I mean, like he would. It looked to me, especially for the fact that after the fight had already stopped, he charged the referee, trying to get past the referee to get back to the, like he was with it. Like I didn't think that he was out to the point that should have been stopped. Yeah, this was to me was an absolutely early stoppage here. Kansas City referees at work. But yeah, leading up to it, it was a pretty even fight through 1.5 rounds basically until Kwamba started to land a variety of really nice technical solid strikes. He went for like he had the knee was what ended up sitting him down, but like he went to the body, he went up top, and like he started connecting on a couple of shots when earlier in the fight it was really a lot of feel out. It was a lot of like kind of distance gagey shots. Like they weren't really like tussling in like a close range type of situation. But it was funny to me too that like early on there was the nut shot that was actually a two-way nut shot. Both of them caught each other in the nuts, which I think kind of woke both of them up because the referee was like talking to I think to Romero as if he was like the culprit of that when it was really both of them. So it
Mhm.
was like, okay, both of us have a little bit of time to stop here. Maybe they both thought in their minds like, yeah, you know what? When we come back from this, maybe we should like actually really like engage here a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree with the stoppage element to this. I do think it was early. I don't know if Romero was necessarily going to come back and like set the world on fire, but it would have been nice for him to have the opportunity if he was still in it, which I think he was.
Yeah, it was a pretty clean fight that he was fighting. I know he was getting busted up, like he got cut on the top of his head, and I think it was another cut that he got. But like other than that, like I thought he was doing pretty good at putting the pressure on, making Timmy Kwamba have to play this creative striker's role. Like I got to counter him in ways that he would never imagine, kind of game.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate that it did stop. You're probably right. He probably wouldn't have won, but I would have loved to see him get to continue that, not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and had he made it to the third round, I mean, anything could have happened.
Yeah, would
It's
have been 1-1 probably.
Yeah, yeah, it very well could have been. The only other real note that I had on Kwamba's side is this is definitely one of the better performances that I've seen from him because the last couple have not been super impressive to me. That's why I think on the predictions I went with Romero, thinking that based on how he looked in the Onama fight, that he was going to come out here and really kind of light him up. I wasn't super sold on Kwamba. I still don't know if I necessarily am, but one thing did stick out to me. There was at one point Romero like really committed to a single leg. He was trying for a single leg, really and like wasn't stopping trying with it. And Kwamba ended up defending that and reversing the position really well. So I was like, okay, maybe he does have a little bit of like wrestling acumen in there as well. And then when I saw like the striking that led up to the finish, that sequence there that led into what would eventually become the finish, I was like, all right, maybe he's a little bit more well-rounded than I'm giving him credit for. And maybe he's still just kind of like coming into his own, even though he is, I mean, he's 9-3. So this is like the time where you really need to start like setting yourself apart from a new guy. Like you really need to be like starting to show that you're really about your shit. So hopefully if this is what he's going to be able to do against some guys who are a little bit more skilled as well, then he's got a potential future there based on some of what I saw.
Yeah, like I'm not. particularly sold on it. I mean, at featherweight, it's like, come on, do you know who's in this class with you?
That's a
Like,
good point.
I don't know. We even see two dudes later on in the card that are featherweight that would probably smoke either one of these guys after a performance like this. Already did smoke one of the other guys, but I don't know. At featherweight, Timmy Kwamba, you probably had a better chance at bantamweight. Maybe you weren't able to make it anymore. Maybe you just wanted to try to move up to have some sort of advantages. I don't know what those would be, but I'm not too heavy on the pick next fight, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I it's kind of what like where I land with it, where I'm like, I saw a couple of flecks of better, but like I'm not 100% sold, and coming into it, I was definitely not sold. So it's like I've ticked up a little bit, but like I'm not like over the edge yet. So it's like really go out there and put on a performance that's gonna change my mind next time, and then maybe we've got something to something to go off of.
Yeah, definitely. Go get another knockout, basically, is what Thinker's telling you. You did it once, but it's still not good enough. So do it again.
Yeah, well, get a legitimate one. I mean, obviously that's not his fault, but do get an actual knockout in a city that's not Kansas City.
Yeah, true. I hear you there. So I don't know. That there's just not much going forward that I want to say, and I'm not looking for much. I'll probably even be this is one of the guys that I'll be like, did I even watch him? Like, do I even, kind of deal. But
Yeah, really, because like for me, it's like I remember him most because of his name.
yeah,
It's just
Timmy
like,
Twilight.
yeah, exactly. It's Timmy, and then Kwamba's kind of unique, and then the Twilight aspect of it is just odd. So yeah, go out there and make something for me to remember that's not that.
Yeah, I don't know. It sucks that I have to have that mindset here because he did get a knockout finish, but like, does that make you the best mixed martial artist in the world? No, guys. So it's I don't know. There's different perspectives to it, I guess. There's somebody out there who's like, man, Timmy Kwamba's back, man. He's the fucking man. He just got a knockout, like
Well,
flying knee knockout.
but that's why I think it's important to keep it in perspective the way that we break it down like analytically, because it's like if you go back now, people who don't listen to last week's fights are gonna, they'll see the records like, oh, he's coming off of a knockout. Okay. You're just looking at it on paper, but it's like you got to know what the actual details of that are. Like that's why like there are times where like we'll go back and the Jocelyn Edwards is a good example when I was talking about her win over Lucy Pudilova, where it's like that it was an absolute no two ways about it robbery, but that's a win now. So it's
Mhm.
like, you know what I mean? I think it's important to have the understanding of those things. And like, you have to really be like a dedicated fight person to to follow that closely. But like that's why we follow as closely as we do, because this is the real perspective that you need and you're not going to get on paper.
Receipts will be valid. Tell you
Bingo.
that.
Exactly. So anything else on these two?
No, I think that's it for him.
All right. Well, as we move on, wanted to give a couple shout outs. TJF, thank you for hanging out. Money J, always good to see you. Michael, thank you for hanging out as well, man. Appreciate the kind words there. And Mr. Rage Quit, you are the man as
Are you
always.
just gonna forget Dira Vandahana? Come on.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes. Dira Vandahana, looking for,
Vardahana, I'm sorry.
sorry,
Vardahana. There's an R.
pardon me. We're going to be doing our basic predictions on Sandhagen and Figueiredo a little bit later in the show. So stick around.
Hell yeah. All right.
All right, moving on. The very lovely Jacqueline Amarim versus Polyana Viana. Talk about a domination in this fight. Good Lord.
We don't even have to start there. We got to go back. Go back to the walkout because the UFC knew what they were doing. I told you we came back from commercial and had Chelsea Chandler in the cage. This one, we got the walkouts for both of these ladies. And when Pollyanna came out, oof, boy, I mean, she is a looker, ain't she? I mean, the
Yeah, no,
Shama man knows how to pick. Hey,
yeah,
Colby,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't know you had game like this, buddy. I'm sorry. So she came out looking very, very good. And then you know what's crazy is Jacqueline walked out, and I went, "Oh my goodness, they make more of them. They make them all. Like holy shit, Brazil! Like whoa! Like you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
know what you're doing down in the Lady Factory because." Listen, this was two beautiful ladies coming out here to put on a grappling performance, and you know what? It delivered. They got us in all the positions that were probably as sexual as they needed to be, and I loved every second of it. I even loved the end, where at the end of the first round, where the bell, like I don't know if we don't know how clappers work anymore, but the ref didn't because the
Oh,
clapper goes off and he goes stop, and they're like they're confused as hell, and then they get to like cuddling a little bit, and then they have like a cute little exchange, blah 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 blah. But the ref totally fucked up this time. This was the one of two times where the ref, and it might be the same one. I don't
It
know.
is.
Okay, so fucked up with the time clock. We had like 10 seconds left on it on this one where they just laid on each other and nothing happened. Probably wasn't gonna have a finish, but I enjoyed the moment anyways. Going into the second round, straight back to the grappling, and I mean, I don't remember much about the second round other than it was a back take and she got everything she wanted and got a choke. I mean, it was pretty easy.
Well, all right. So, I can't let it slide. Chat, if you want to flame Chase Parton over the goonerism that you just heard, feel free to do that. I'm gonna take the high road, even though
Sex sells, buddy.
very fair, and I'm gonna be the one to be saying the goonerish shit, at some point in the future, I'm sure. So it goes both ways. But either way, high roading it right now. The Amorim domination in this fight was very, very impressive. If you recall on the predictions episode last episode, I was saying that I thought Pollyanna would be of game enough caliber to at least make it to the bell. To at least make it to decision. I was very surprised, but I think it really just is the strength of Amorim's skill. I mean, she really is like real deal. I mean, the takedowns were achieved both rounds 1 and 2, within the first 10 seconds of the round. Like she
Never
was
needed a second attempt either.
bingo, exactly. She got the takedown and just had it the entire time. No answers at all for Polyana Viana in the slightest. And then, of course, as you mentioned, one of two times in round one here where Big Dan Murgliata was the referee, which is why it's even crazier, because Big Dan Murgliata, he's a veteran referee. He's not some Kansas City nobody referee, like, some dude that they pulled out of the bar and into the cage. I mean, like, this dude is around. He's ref for the UFC, ref for Bellator, ref for PFL. He's all over the place ref. And he's one of those guys too that really like takes himself a little seriously when it comes to this sport. So I was extremely surprised that Big Dan was screwing up like this. Yeah, he mistook the clapper for the bell and for the horn. And it was like, yo, Dan, what the hell is going on? So yeah, we had that awkward moment where he like touches them and then is like, hey, keep going. And it's like, motherfucker, you were the one that told us to stop. We would
And
have
they're
kept
looking at
going.
him like, I don't speak English, dude. What are you saying?
Yeah, I guess that aspect of it too, right? But so yeah, so that was just a little bit weird, but it didn't matter in this fight in the slightest because Amorim was just all over it. The last note that I have about it is Amorim. I believe like she might need to work on her striking just a little bit. I think that she needs to kind of get that up to snuff. But if she does that, you might have a champion on your hands right here. I'm saying it now. I'm calling it early.
I know you're gonna hate me for this one, but there's one thing that came to my mind when I think of Jacqueline Amarine at this point. And if you're a pro wrestling fan out there, there's a group called Pretty Deadly. Don't look them up, but there's a group out there, and that's all I think about with Jacqueline. She's so pretty and so deadly in this cage, man. Like she's just so damn good. And I kind of was hesitant to believe, like, come on, I mean, there's got to be a day where the finish streak cracks, kind of deal. But it wasn't this day. No, she looked fucking good. Holy shit, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then on the other side, unfortunately, in my opinion, it's not the same circumstances because Pollyanna has gotten some decent wins in the past, but Pretty Privilege has its limits. I think at some point it's going to be time to cut Viana as well.
I mean, what is it? 13-8? Ooh, yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying? I
pretty I
mean,
mean, it's pretty rough, but maybe one more. We've seen 14-10, she's got something coming for her good.
and Pretty Privilege might continue to string her along for a little while, but I'm seeing more losses adding up, and I mean, like she was coming in off of a couple of losses, I believe, too. We had talked about, so it's not looking good right now. She really, really, really needs a win if they're going to give her another fight.
No, I mean, but, like, you gotta think about it too this is the entertainment business. When she walks out, the people in the arena who paid tickets go crazy. So that's really all that matters when it comes down to this. If they want more ticket sales, they know to put Pollyanna on a card. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, very fair. Shout out to David Burns in Australia. Appreciate you checking in as well, brother.
And let us know what's on the menu for barbecue.
Oh,
Thank you, Rage Quit.
absolutely. Also, so go before we go into the next fight as well. I love that they did a whole promo for the Kansas City Sports Commission, like they weren't fucking up every fight prior to to this point.
Did
Like,
they? I did not catch this one.
yeah, it was quick. I mean, they, I think that that's one of those agreements that they have with certain states, because they did this also for Utah, if you remember, in Salt Lake City, like the sports commission. They're trying to attract sports, I guess entities, or more traffic via sports, via tourism, those kinds of things. They're trying to boost up the state a little bit. So I think the UFC has arrangements with the sports commissions in certain states. So that's kind of, I think, what happened there. But it was funny that it's like, yeah, the Kansas City Sports Commission. Oh, Kansas City is such a sports town. It's like, okay, well, cool. It must be great for these other teams and other sports that are in here doing their things. But right now, we've had the referee nearly fuck up this fight. We had an early stoppage in the last fight, and a sort of possibly early fight in the early stoppage in the fight before it. So Kansas City Sports Commission, get on par with MMA, and then maybe those promos make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, at least wait till later down the card when you know there's a good pool of evidence. Like, all right, we did decent enough here.
Right, exactly. Yeah, when you're proud of your work, you know.
Actually, I know this is not maybe the time to bring it up, but I did not. There was never a moment, or I don't remember the moment that I actually realized, like, wow, they've done really good with the pacing on this show, considering all the finishes we started out with off rip. I
I
mean,
agree. Yes. Yeah,
they
absolutely.
I mean, if you said there was a little promo for the commission, I mean, cool. I didn't even notice that, but all the other ones, they were perfect filler for the next couple fights. At least I was having a decent time playing on my phone or something while they were doing it.
True that. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you completely. I thought that this was a very well paced event all the way throughout, and then of course there are going to be a couple other like video related things we'll talk about, and I thought that those all fit in very nicely as well. So yeah, I definitely agree there.
Yeah.
All
So
right. Well,
that's
yeah.
probably about it on that one.
I would think so. So moving on to the next one, a quick one again. This is Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cameron Simon. You said it very, very well on the predictions episode last week, where you said that Malcolm Wellmaker is so good that he is making himself forgotten by how quickly he is finishing fights. That needs to stop right here, right now, because he did it in the big show. This Malcolm Wellmaker might be the real deal.
I would like to say that before the fight started, not before the fight started, but before the fight, begun, Malcolm was talking about his job and that he was working as a well or a pipe fitter or a welder or something, anything like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people do have full-time jobs when they join this fucking promotion. I mean, you got to get to the big leagues before you can actually not work anymore. And that's crucial to note because he said, if I get the 50K bonus on this fight, I will quit my job on Monday. And this was the performance of somebody who wants a 50K bonus so they could quit their fucking job. You don't go out here and you fucking prance around and you let somebody who has the more experience on you do what they're planning to do. No, you just fucking walk in there and you gun it, dude. This fucking performance, dude. I can't tell you how funny it was for him to knock him out in the way that he did. And if you watch the replay, Malcolm closes his eyes, throws a hook from the hip, like a goddamn gunslinger, and he just knocks Cameron's head off. And it's so funny too because Cameron's like he throws the one, and then he's throwing the two, and then he gets dude. It's hilarious. As he's throwing the two, his body swings and then his body, and then I flung him to the side. You know the meme, like that's exactly what happened. And Malcolm Wellmaker did it in style. Didn't come out and act like he was too big for the moment. Like he came out here, did his thing and he did exactly what he said he was going to do, got the 50K, quit his fucking job this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Shout out to him for that. Yes, you are correct. He was in the pipe fitters union. A noble, skilled trade, and nothing wrong with that. And this is exactly how this works in this sport. You go out there and you make it happen for yourself. He's making it happen for himself. Love to see it. And with a knockout like that, counter right hook, very similar to the knockout that he got on the Contender Series, put Simon down for real, for real. I mean, it was just a beautiful knockout. Wellmaker is him. That's a really all you can say about a performance like this as of right now. We got to see what it's going to be like against some other guys higher up in the division. At bantamweight with knockout power, that's a great thing. I think him versus Timarov might be the move.
Timorov's a flyweight.
He's a flyweight, isn't he? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then he needs to go up there and move up to bantamweight, and then they can fight each other there.
So I would like to clarify one thing, and I'll actually I remember why I said it now. When I went when I watched this fight immediately as it started, because in my mind I'm like, I compared him to Josh Van, so something's here. You remember this? This was the slight comparison to Josh Van, and what
Yes.
this was, it was not a skill set comparison. He just fucking looks like Josh Van. He just looks just like him. Like I looked at him, I'm like, holy shit, he's got the same tattoos and everything on his chest, and I mean, he's got his hair grown out, but the face is like identical. Like holy shit.
Well,
But then, go
no,
ahead.
sorry. I was just gonna say, like, we generally don't go into this territory, but I was kind of curious what his ethnicity is,
Yes,
because
yeah.
he looks like he might be like black Asian mix, perhaps, maybe is what, like, just off the eye test kind of thing. But it's a little bit hard to pin down, but I can see what you're saying with that, because yeah, the facial features do have a similarity.
Yeah, and so I don't necessarily think that he's gonna be able to have the success on the feet as Josh Fan. Let me state that off rip, because Malcolm Wellmaker, he does have the pressure and he does have the footwork and the power to do it, but he leaves his chin up, and if someone like Cameron, if someone like Cameron can land that first shot, like because he had to eat a shot to give one. If he's willing to eat it, there's going to be somebody who's going to have the power, the potential power to make him pay for it. So I think him walking him down, hands down. I mean, yes, this is how you deal with someone like Cameron Simon. After you've seen it done already, you just got to punk him. You just got to put him on the back foot and just show him that, you're boss. But going forward, I think Malcolm is going to have to, we're gonna have to see more of the skill set. It's hard to say that there's not something there because he just hasn't had to show it yet. And that happens with some people.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, and, we didn't see any ground game. I mean, it's the same criticisms that we would have as if he was coming straight out of the Contender Series. Still, he hasn't been tested in the way that you need to see him tested, just to see if he really is that guy. But this is a great way to make sure that you stick around to get that test.
Hmm.
So, as of right now, really, really impressive performance. Glad that it was a 50K bonus performance. Glad that he was able to quit his job, become a full-time fighter because of it. On the other side of the coin with Cameron Simon, I mean, this is starting to get into dicey territory now. He was one of those dudes that I think was kind of, I don't want to say he was coasting on his age, but I think that there was a little bit of a mystique, maybe, perhaps because he was so young. It's like, oh, this is a young guy, like, what's it going to be like for him, in the big show? Is he going to be able to hang with the big dogs, this kind of stuff? And now, I mean, these losses are starting to add up a little bit. I mean, it's not super bad yet. 9-3 is not terrible, and by any stretch of the imagination, but he's got to be careful here, because he's starting to get into that territory, and just being a training partner of Drekus isn't going to save you.
So I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the review that we have been doing for the Netflix original Cage, but there is a character in the show who is turning down a lot of fights, and he's trying to particularly pick his next opponent, Cameron Simon. If you would like to do better in your career, go ahead and take some notes from our villain. I forget his name at the time, though.
Oh yeah, Ibrahim in the cage. Yes, yeah.
There you
What
go.
do you think that Cameron Simon needs to be more selective about his opponent?
Yeah, he needs to go to his manager and say, "Nope, not him, not him, not him. No, nope, not that one either. Not the dude that just knocked me out in training either. Not that. Definitely
I,
not."
I don't know if they have that luxury at the level that Cameron Simon's at. So he's going to have to either become a killer or be killed.
Yeah, facts. And in this one, that's a great way to put it, is because like this is somebody coming into the organization with a lot on their shoulder. He's got a life that he could leave behind if he makes the right moment, uh the right opportunity, or takes advantage of this opportunity in front of him. He could do a lot with his career. Like this is the start of it. This is the jump start. And he comes in here and dude, I said at the beginning, he fought like he wants a goddamn job. Like that's how you fucking fight. Talk about people in this world. You got a lot of people who don't even show up to their fucking job. They don't show up until 20 minutes after they're supposed to. This is somebody who showed up on time, got ready, prepared, and had a game plan they executed. Hey, fuck it. Love him. Malcolm Wellmaker, shout out.
Yeah, really. I mean, can't say enough good things about the guy at the moment. He really won a lot of points on this fight, not just with the knockout, but all of the things surrounding it as well. So enjoy your time right now. It only gets harder. So you're gonna have to see what the next match looks like. But as of right now, Malcolm Wellmaker is the man.
Hell yeah.
All right. Next fight up is Damon Blackshear versus Alan Tengale. Um, I think what I had to say about this fight is if you ever needed a fight to explain to people why you should never choose method of victory when you're betting, this is your fight. Because this was the fight where Damon Blackshear had a point to prove. It was kind of obvious that he was making a statement about the quality of his striking and not wanting to be pigeonholed into the elite grappler category. But I'm not 100% sure if this performance sold me on that premise.
I go back to last fight where I actually truly started to believe in the skill set. And then I come into this fight and it looks like somebody who doesn't have last fight, it looked like they had something to prove. Like, okay, I'm going to finish Cody Gibson kind of deal. And then he comes in this fight and yeah, he tries to stand on the feet with the finishing ability of like a toddler. And he can't do anything against Alatangale. Alatangale actually walks him down the entire time. These are the striking numbers when you look at the stats. These are the types of shit that I don't fucking believe because Alatangale, in my opinion, was winning every one of the striking battle. Like it did not look like Damon Blackshear landed 127 strikes. In my opinion, so 125 significant is fucking nuts. You're telling me he threw two strikes that weren't significant, or landed two strikes that weren't significant out of all of them? Anyway, Alatangale probably like I don't think he probably should have won this one, but like he was making it more of a fight than Blackshear was. Blackshear was just coasting the entire time. Didn't want to initiate. He shot zero fucking takedowns. Like I don't know, dude. It was very frustrating that there was no finishing ability. The killer instinct. He's one of these dudes that just looks fucking lazy when they lose and can look really fucking good when they win. That's just the problem.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
Not when he
that
lose. I didn't. I when he wins and he's lazy, he looks. It doesn't look great. Sorry, let me say
yeah,
that.
no, yeah, I hear you. I gotcha. But I mean, I think that Blackshear was a step ahead when it came to like the exchanges that did happen. Like, he was able to put some hands on him. But I do agree, those striking numbers seem inflated as hell. But and it is kind of crazy to me too that Alan Tengele had 61 counted total strikes, and all of them were significant. Like,
Yeah.
all right, come on, man. I think that there's some fudge numbers going on there. But either way, it looked like Blackshear was a step ahead when it came to the striking exchanges, but they were pretty competitive, all things considered. And Alan Tengele is no slouch when it comes to striking. He just needs to be first more often, which he wasn't. Like, it's like you talk about Blackshear looking lazy. It wasn't that Alan Tengele was lazy. It just looked like he was. I just want to say like maybe a little gun shy. I don't know why he wasn't like going in there a little bit more like firm footed to just get himself a couple of strikes, especially later on in the fight when he knew that Blackshear was not going to be initiating the takedowns. Because you're right, he didn't shoot for any, which is insane to me. You go back to the watch along, I'm sitting there the entire fight going, okay, now's the time. Now's the time when the wrestling's going to start, and it just never did. That's why I was like, I really think he was trying to make a point with this fight. Like, I'm not just the wrestling guy. I'm not just the grappling guy, but it like I don't think that the striking was good enough to be like, oh, well, man, he can really do it all now.
Yeah. I don't know what my reasoning is for being skeptical when somebody takes the short or not short notice, but takes the second bout out of their little run that they're having. So, the first one's good and they look really great, but then if they sign again and book really quick, I'm just not sold that they're going to bring the same level of intensity because they don't have like a game plan and they're not I don't know what the case is, but this one right here is a prime example. Damon Blackshear he just fucking oh my god, it was hurtful to watch. I'm not
I,
gonna lie,
the case is Kevin Holland, and
but true.
and I mean, I think that there's maybe a little bit of a little bit of an apt comparison there. If Blackshear is coming in very quick turnaround often, which he had already done in the past, which bit him in the ass in the past. So it's okay, at least good now that it didn't happen that way this time. But yeah, maybe there is a something to be said for kind of pacing yourself a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't know this one. Not so, like I'm gonna go into next fight thinking, oh, Blackshear, he really let me down kind of in last fight. I know he won, but he just didn't live up to what I was hoping to see.
Well, and because they're talking about how Blackshear needs to have a number next to his name and all this kind of stuff now, and I'm like, um, you know, to me it would be like, okay, well, if he needs the number, then Alan Tenkele needs to get himself another couple of fights, and then the number should be right there for him too, right? I mean, I like they were pretty even throughout a lot of this fight. It felt like it was just Blackshear was just a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
So I thought that there wasn't really much new information to be gleaned from this fight, except for basically how you feel about it, where it's like, okay, now Blackshear is like hot in one fight, cold in another fight, even though he still won that fight, won both those fights. It's like it almost muddies the water in a way where it's like, I might just have to stay away from the Blackshear fight. Like, if he's not going to initiate the grappling, because that's why I brought up the method at the start of this breakdown. Because I'm like, surely he could go down there and pull off, if he's not going to get the twister again, he can pull off a rear naked choke or something like that if he initiates a takedown. But if he's not going to do that, then now I don't know what to think about the guy,
Yeah.
So.
This one, it was definitely frustrating. Alatengale, it wasn't. That's not somebody that I would say I frown upon for this card. Like, I thought he did exactly what he should have been trying to do. Blackshear was just not trying to initiate. Like, I don't know. He was just on the back foot, just trying to play the counter striker. And like you said, trying to prove a point that his striking is something to behold. But a ranking next to that name after that performance is not something that I agree with.
Yeah, well, I mean, or at least because they're saying, give him a ranked opponent to
Well,
test
yeah,
it. I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, but if that's the case, then let's see what the name is that they're going to be putting up against him and judge based on that now. Because, really, more questions than answers, I think is what I come away with. Because it's like, we know that he can grapple.
Mhm.
We know that he has the ability to beat Alantengale with his striking. Does that translate to whoever this next opponent is? So keep all of those elements in mind for whenever they announce for him next, which could be in a couple of weeks from now,
I was
considering the way
gonna
that,
say.
yeah, exactly. So who knows? But in this one, look, he got the win. It's fine. I liked how Alantengale fought as well. So, if he's back around, I'll keep an eye out for his fights as well. And we'll just have to see what happens. But not a world beater kind of performance.
Correct, 100%. And speaking of not a world beater performance, we
Well,
can roll
this
into
fight,
this next one.
yeah, this was the only one that I thought was like a truly boring fight on the card, sadly, as we sort of predicted it to be. This is Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. I was surprised that Gutierrez wasn't as big of a kick lord as he usually is in most of his fights. He actually dropped Castaneda in the first round with a punch. I was like, wow, that's an amazing thing. But after that, it was just like, the way that I looked at this fight was that Castaneda was trying to make this like a mirror match. Like, he was trying to like kind of like when you move, I move kind of thing with Chris Gutierrez, but Gutierrez overcame his own style kind of decently, basically. Like if Castaneda was going to try to mirror him, he was just like, okay, well, I know how to beat myself, I guess, so.
Yeah,
But yeah, so it was pretty close, but even though it was pretty close, it was not great.
I agree. This one, it sucked because I had a lot of hope that there was a reasoning or a reason that they matched John Castaneda up with our kick lord Gutierrez. And why that was and why they wanted this matchup so bad that they replaced it a couple different times, I'm still unbeknowing, because this is a performance from John Castaneda that started off wicked slow, continued to be slow throughout the entire fight when it came to like making reads or actually, putting foot to the gas. But he did get a takedown and he did control him for a lot of the time. And even in the later rounds, I thought John Castaneda was going to be able to inch by. The knockdown in round 1, okay, yes, you give it to Gutierrez, but I don't believe that John Castaneda should have lost this one per se. And I believe the judging was weird on this. Like, the one round that they gave to John Castaneda, I'm pretty sure it was round 1, so that doesn't even add up. But whatever.
Yeah, this was a split decision win for Gutierrez. I'm fine with it. Like, I wasn't like, this definitely is not one that I would be raising hell about. Although it is kind of crazy giving Castaneda the nod, even with him getting dropped. So, I mean, if you think that those last two rounds were like razor thin and went to him, I guess I could kind of fuck with it. But I don't know. I just didn't like the fight very much, so it's like I don't really like have too strong of an opinion thereafter about it.
Well, I mean, it's the same fucking criticisms that I can give you every time Chris Gutierrez fights. It's like the dude is just so timid. He has the skill set. He has all the tools. I mean, he can't get up from the fucking ground to save his life. I mean, 5 minutes of control time off of
Yeah.
one takedown. I don't even think like that was round 2. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so I don't know, like Chris Gutierrez, man, you don't give me hope for somebody to bet on, and that's why at the end of the day, I didn't bet on you, and it was a bad call. Sure, you won by split decision on a different day, 6 times out of 10, maybe it goes the other way, who knows? But I just don't continue to see hope, uh, from this skill set, like
Yeah, and I mean, really, I think that that's the big takeaway, like, and why I was kind of sad that we predicted it correctly, because it's like in fights like this where we sort of have a basic idea of what we're thinking about each fighter coming into it. It's nice to see a performance that changes your mind. Like, oh, okay, this is what we've been missing about this person for all of this time. Like, these are the things that are going to be going forward. Like, okay, maybe there's an improvement, maybe there's something different that they're bringing to the table. When you get exactly what you're expecting and it's not great, it's just a continuation of the same. And I'm just like, all right, well, now whoever they put each of these guys up against, hopefully it's going to be something that will be a little bit more telling, a little bit more inspiring of confidence. But I don't have that going in to another fight. So I see the name again, and now we have, two of them. They're not going to fight each other again. So it's like you have two fighters that you have that feeling about going into it. It's like, all right, like let's just see who they're fighting and what that person brings to the table, because we already have a pretty solid understanding of what this person brings.
yeah, and these guys aren't terribly active, so it's gonna be a while before we see their names again, so at least we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, yeah. So, congratulations, UFC. You made this fight happen, and that's what you got out of it. Hope it was worth it.
I hope Blades and Kunaev is gonna be really fucking solid.
Bro, no shit. In 2026 when that happens, who the hell knows?
Right. Yep.
All right, let's keep
In
it moving
Africa.
here. Yeah, yeah, really. We'll see. But all right, let's keep it moving on here. Evan Elder versus Gage Young. I was really hoping for Gage Young to come out here and show some better looks here. Young looked very out of his element in this fight against Evan Elder. What'd you think?
Okay, so you gotta initially bring up that this was a short notice bout on days notice kinda deal, because this was Hassan Zada's original opponent.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yes. So this was a short notice bout between two Kansas City natives. This was an interesting matchup for that notice. Like, okay, who's going to be the man of Kansas when they walk out of here? The fight started. I instantly could tell. Well, actually, I would like to know. I don't know if you noticed. Evan Elders has like 7 different Spartan tattoos. Did you catch that?
I don't think that I did. The one tattoo that I think was drawing my eye the most, because I didn't know what it was, is that under his pec, he's got this, like, right on his rib cage, he's got this red, almost looks like a sea anemone, or like it looks like tissue of some sort. Like
Well,
it's a
yeah,
very.
it's the Roman, it's the cloth. It's
Oh, is that
their
what it is? Okay.
It's yeah, so he's got, like, the guy, and it's got, like, the helmet, and then you can see his abs, and then he's got, like, the robe that, like, and then he's got another one where it's, like, the guy in a shield, and then he's got, like, another dude, he just loves Spartans, I don't know.
Yeah, big fan of 300.
Yes, so anyway, coming into this fight, I said, "Don't know too much about Evan Elder. I hopefully will see Gage Young pull off a masterful performance on short notice." I instantly realized Evan Elder hits like a fucking truck. He
True.
can pack a fucking punch. He can kick like no other. And to the credit of that, I will look at his opponent and say, Gage Young, for somebody who is in this fight to get his ass beat, that kid could probably eat a fucking bullet on Saturday. He took the cleanest shots and shook them all off. He was rocked a couple different times, but actually he was able. I think there was one moment where he had Evan Elder on the ropes just a little bit, but didn't fucking continue with it. Evan Elder, in my opinion, at the beginning of round two, looked like he was tired. All that muscle that he's carrying around, it was starting to weigh on him. But Gage Young just didn't have the allotted time to be able to develop a game plan after he's gassed. The game plan was stick with him, and then if he gasses out, figure it out from there kind of deal. And they didn't really have the part two to it. It was just go in there and fight, figure it out. Gage
Yeah.
Young, go ahead. Yeah, go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, no, I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just yeah, I was just gonna say that Young, I think it was unfortunate that he didn't let his hands go more because he was really keeping the pressure on throughout the majority of this fight. His pressure game was really solid. He was up in Elder's face a lot of this, but Elder was just like, if you're not going to throw your hands, then you're really just standing in front of me to get rocked at times, is how it felt. So like, it was unfortunate that he couldn't put together that second part of the game plan like you were outlining there, because it really was the only thing that he was missing was the offense to match the pressure. Because I thought that you're exactly right about Elder with his power. Elder has really decent power, and he's got a sneaky counter right overhand that I liked a lot. I was like, oh, okay, you slip that thing in there, man. That's a really like good, powerful shot. And if you catch somebody with that off guard, like that could be a nice, easy knockout for him, against somebody who's not as tough as Gage Young. Young was taking a lot of good shots, like you had said. Elder also has some really sharp kicks. He got that spinning wheel kick off nicely, and the body kicks were adding up as well. So, I mean, like Elder was doing good work because Young was in his face, but like that's almost the handshake agreement that you can't have. Like if you're going to be in his face, you need to be doing the good work. So
Mhm.
it kind of, it was unfortunate because I think that like Young reminds me of, like, I forget who we were talking about it recently, but it's like a dude who has like some of the elements, like a diamond in the rough that needs the polishing kind of thing, like he's got the elements there. There's raw talent there, but it needs molding and shaping, and then a little bit more confidence, which I think I can't speak to why it looked that way, and then maybe that's just a perceptional thing to me that he looked a little bit out of sorts in that regard. But you put all of those things together, I think that there is a better fighter in Gage Young than what we saw in that fight.
Yeah, I think this is the fight, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but the coach yelled at Evan Elder to do the Wonder Boy, and he tried to do the Wonder Boy combination and slipped and fell right on his ass.
Was it that one? Because I do remember what you're talking about, but I don't remember if it was this fight.
I want to say it was this one because Evan Elder did have some sneaky high kicks, and he was kind of cooking with the right high kick or whatever back foot he was using.
Yeah, no, the kicks were nice. Like I said, I think that Elder is one of those guys that I knew the name, but I hadn't really like internalized all of the elements of his game. Like I need to do that now for him based on what we saw here. Because you're right. I mean, he's powerful and he's pretty technically sound.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And he's massive for this division. I mean, he's got the body for it. He kind of is like a Josh Emmett kind of build. And if he can stay around, I think the power is going to look better going forward. I think his next opponent, it's going to be a can again because Gage Young on short notice is nobody to like, you're not going to get elevated too much after that. But Evan Elder might get the knockout next fight. So make sure we keep that noted.
Well, were we just talking about Timmy Kwamba being was he at lightweight? Is that the,
He was at Bantam.
oh, was he? Kwamba was?
Yeah, he
Oh,
moved up.
ah, well, I mean, then okay. Well, either way, yeah, I mean, Evan Elder, if that is the case, if that's what ends up happening with him, then fine. Like they can build up Evan Elder if they want to a little bit. I wouldn't be mad about that. Like based on what he did in that fight, like go out there and get the knockout. Then I mean, that's really all that was missing from this. 30-27s across the board looks good, but a knockout looks better. So use
True.
that power. Yeah, utilize the power a little bit more so and actually get the job done. And I'll continue to watch. And again, I don't mean to like keep harping on this because I'm not like some Gage Young super fan, or Stan over here, not a fanboy for Gage Young, but I do think that like I would like to see him get another shot at some point because I do think that there's more to him than we saw there, and with just a little bit more, whether it's coaching or whatever the elements are that he needs to just shore up on his game a little bit, I think that there's something better there. So I'd like to see him get another shot.
I agree. I agree.
All right. Well, this fight was way more entertaining than I think we were giving it credit for last week. This is Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick. This is a fight that if you got any of those people and you know that there are a ton of them, I don't like to throw the casual term around, but I would say that it applies. People who are more casual viewers of the sport who hate whenever it goes to the ground. You show them a fight like this where there was some really entertaining stuff going on with the grappling. I think that this might be a mind changer of a fight. I was really impressed with both these guys in this fight.
I would like to also point out, and I know we don't talk about this, we brought it up earlier with Malcolm Wellmaker, but when the fight started, I said, I thought Matt Schnell was just a white guy. He did not look too much of like a normal white guy in this one. I don't know. He just looked a little different to me.
He's
Um,
like a he's got a tan. I think he is a white dude, but I think he's like that like Italian, Greek kinda,
okay,
you know what I
okay,
mean? Like that
yeah.
at least that's my impression anyway. I don't know much about his ethnicity.
Right, right. But yeah, so came out and like you said, this was a great grappling output for both of them. I mean, in my opinion, I do think the judging was wrong on this. I think Jimmy Flick won this, and I don't think the moments that Matt Schnell had at the end of the rounds should have overthrown what Jimmy Flick did the entirety of all 3 rounds. His grappling looked great. This was definitely the battle of who's gonna jump Gilly more. I don't know why they both decided to do that like 6 different times, and it's funny they only gave 3 sub attempts for Matt Schnell because it was probably more like 5, and the fact they only gave 1 to Jimmy Flick when it was probably like 7, it's pretty crazy to me. But this was a very fun sequence. Matt Schnell did keep it interesting. I will say that. That's what was key, and I don't think the judging should have swayed it in his favor because of that, because he was losing majority of every round. But
Now, so I always rewatch every one of these fights. We do the watch alongs live. I rewatch them again thereafter. This was one because if you go back to the watch along, you'll see me like, damn, this is a fucking robbery. Like I was really adamant about it in the moment. When I went back and rewatched it, I like it was a begrudging understanding of 2 rounds to 1 going to Schnell. It felt very, very close on the watch long. I like if it had gone to Jimmy Flick, I would have been fine with that too. Like even after rewatching it, like seeing all of the things that made up the fight, because I really think that like you want to talk about people that wanted to win, that go out there with like an instinct, like trying to win a fight. Like Jimmy Flick came out in this fight to win. Like he really
mhm,
was locked in and focused in this fight. The dude is a guy who he's had like kind of an up and down sort of career. I mean, he's not necessarily like an elite fighter, I would say. He's more of a middling kind of guy, but like he's a dogged fighter in the style that he has. And considering that he now has a fiance again, I thought that was a funny line from Brendan Fitzgerald. Don't know what happened to the first one, but he's got one again. He had a point to prove. He needed to. We wanted to win this fight. He's got a huge amount of kids too. I think he said something like 6 kids or something. It's crazy. But regardless of all of that, my point is that he came out here wanting to win this fight. He needed to take a win home to his family, as large as it is, and apparently growing with the wife. Anyway, this dude really wanted it, and I do think it's unfortunate. But after doing the rewatch, I was like, okay, I can kind of see the justification. But it was very, very close, very solid, and a lot of really, really good technical groundwork for both of them.
was it the elbows that secured the rounds? Like on the when you were understanding the judgment, was it like, okay, the elbows on the top mount at the end of the rounds, like that did steal it?
Well, I mean, going round by round with it, I did because I did break it down that way too. So let me go through it real quick, and then maybe it'll give you a better impression of my thoughts on this. Flick had some nice takedowns, but was not active enough on the ground with the striking, even though he did take round 1. So round 1 to him. Round 2. Oh, so this was something that actually I think was a big note here. I'm glad that I'm going through it this way now to bring this up. This is another Dan Murgliata fight, by the way. Another fuck up here because round 2, Schnell had his toes all up in the cage and he used them to adjust position. So that is a point deduction territory right there, in my opinion. I mean, like, because it's we see toes in the cage often where it's just incidental, right? Like toes just going through the cage, but they're not actually doing anything with it. Like Schnell was grabbing and pushing himself with his toes in the cage. So I mean, like Big Dan, yet another. This is like one of the worst cards for Big Dan Murgliata specifically, like that in recent memory that I can think of. Very strange. But so round 2 was debatable, I would say. There were some nice reverses on both sides. Flick with solid up kicks for Flick in round 2, by the way. Like that, there was some good awareness on his part to know that he could actually get those and that Schnell was not a downed opponent. So sharp work up for him there, but the damage did go to Schnell because Schnell did open him up. So round 2 kind of close. It's like if you want to give it to Flick, then cool. If you want to give it to Schnell, I kind of based on everything gave it to Schnell. And then in round 3, That was when Murgliata fucks up for the third time, thinking that the clapper was the horn again. This was when he looked off to the side, like trying to pin it on somebody else. And we were like, he really did. He was like, oh, that was the end of the round, wasn't it? It's like, bro, you are the referee, homie. You are the last line of defense with this shit. What the fuck, dude? But yeah. So I mean, very crazy with that. But 1-1 going into the third, I had it. Schnell able to secure the body triangle and nearly got the rear naked choke. I think that was what really put me over the edge.
Yeah, this was a hard one. Actually, now that you bring it up, the up kicks are actually another factor of why I said like because Matt Schnell did reverse the position with a lot of time left. But when the up kicks happened, I was like, okay, Jimmy Flick he's doing the damaging effects here. Even on bottom, he's the one like that was a crucial strike, bro. Getting kicked in the face, like, are you serious? Like
Yeah.
that's like you have to take that with great account. Like if someone lands a heel to the face on an up kick, that's a lot of damage in my opinion. That's like a ding 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 like kind of deal.
Yeah.
Because one, the fucking guy isn't smart enough to get the fuck out of there and stand him up. So if you get kicked in the face, like one, you lose points for being an idiot, and two, you lose points because you just got destroyed, kind of deal. I don't know.
I can see it. I mean, I think that you're making a solid point for it. So this is one of those ones that like I think a split decision would have been very very appropriate here. Like the fact that it was a unanimous decision is a little bit strange to me. But you know, I guess go back and rewatch it and take away your own assessment of it. Like as I said in the moment, I thought that it was a clear robbery. Going back on rewatch, I kind of saw it from the judge's perspective. Close fight. I think that really my biggest note for Jimmy Flick was that he just needed to be a little bit more active when he had the top control. Because if he had done that, if he was landing like a good amount of strikes on the ground when in those those short motions and the short instances that we talk about, where it's like before a transition or when he's like he's got Schnell who's trying to wriggle his way out and he like can just pop a couple to the side of the head real quick, even if they're not damaging shots. Optically, it looks better. That could have been something that could have pushed it over the edge for him.
Yeah, I agree. It was too heavy on the grappling. Even though that is what you excel at, you got to be able to mix in the other facets of the game.
Right. Yeah. So it hurts though because like I said, I think that Flick was doing really nice work in this fight, and like it shows to me that like I said I'm a broken record over here, but like he wanted to win. Like I felt like if there was a person out of the two of them that was like actively seeking the victory, it was definitely him. Schnell kind of was like reacting and doing enough, but it was just enough. So I really would have liked to see Jimmy Flick get this win. It is what it is.
Hell yeah, I agree.
Unfortunate, but all right. Much more fortunate in this next fight, Ikram Aliskirov versus Andre Muniz. Ikram Aliskirov, of course, coming back after a long layoff, and what an emphatic way to do so. What'd you think of this fight?
I thought this was a good performance. I mean, there's not really too much to go off of. I mean, there was a knockout, and it did actually happen like wicked at the end of the round. But the way that the knockout happened, this is just one of those fights where it's like you just had to be there to you had to be there to see how the knockout occurred. And I know going forward, you're going to be like, man, Ikram, he's got another knockout. Like he's back on the streak. He's back. And I agree, Ikram's very good. But optically, this opponent, he took a dive, guys. He 100%.
He did
He
not.
he's
Come on.
partying on the yacht with Michelle Pereira. Like, dude,
That is funny.
dude, the thing that actually like stunned him was like it just looked like the lightest shot ever. Like it was weird that he like got not just like rocked, dude. He like lost all function when he got hit with this little check right or this little check hook from the left or whatever it was. He just like lost all function. He's falling over. It's like I can't, when you watched Darren Elkins fight, the beginning of his last fight, and he got like popped with a little jab and it like hit his hair and he just falls over. You're like, what is going on? Like, that's exactly what happened here. Like, if you were an Andrew Muniz fan and you thought that there was a big upset coming, you should be very, very mad. Like, this was rough on the eyes.
Yeah, it was a pillowy left hook is the way that I would describe it. It really was not much of anything, but it just must have been right on the temple in the exact right spot with just enough power, I guess, because yeah, it was a shot that dropped Muniz and Alaskarov all over it to close it out. Because like you said, it was at the very end of the round, and I remember on the watch along saying, it was a Herzog was the referee on this one, and he was like standing over it, and like he wanted to let it go because he was, it was so close to the end of the round that he was like, okay, if you can do anything to show me that you're still in it, like I'll let you get saved by the bell here. And Muniz just wasn't like there was nothing there. Like
Yeah.
Alaskarov was all over him with the ground and pound at that point. And yeah, it was really bizarre. It was definitely bizarre that it was a shot like that did it. But we see that in this sport. It's like any given shot that lands in the exact right spot can be the one to do it. And then also if you have the awareness, which I give Alaskarov a good amount of credit for, because if you have the awareness to know that the dude is like even in that like semi-dazed state, like kind of the what we were talking about with Drew Dober in the last fight, where I was like, he's like in that half state, it's like he's not fully out, but he's not fully there. If you recognize that and pounce on it, there you go. I mean, that's exactly what you need to do, and you get the finish that way. So
We'll talk about somebody later who didn't do that.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, most definitely. And it's funny that you mentioned Darren Elkins, because I have a funny note coming up for another fight with him involved as well. But
Hell yeah.
For Alaskarov, just controlled position nicely throughout this fight. It wasn't really a very exciting fight or a very explosive fight before that. He just kind of backed Muniz down. Muniz kind of seemed very comfortable being back down. Like he seemed like he was on the cage for a lot of the round. Not really trying to circle out a whole hell of a lot, not trying to get his back off of the cage. Like he was behind the black line a whole lot. And then Alaskarov just got that shot, and that's really all she wrote.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, I'll tell you that. And I actually want to make a point because I don't know if I said it necessarily on this show, but when the fight started, we're talking about who's going to win, what's the method or whatever. I straight up said, I said, Ikram is just, he's not a sub guy. He's not going to sub anybody. He does have a sub on the Contender Series, so let me shut up.
Hey, it could happen again, perhaps, right? Maybe something to keep in the back. He is from Dagestan, isn't he?
Yep.
There
So
you go. So, always something to keep in mind. But yes, I mean, I had said on the previous episode that I thought that this was going to be a nice reintroduction for people with the Ikram Alaskarov, getting him back into people's consciousness after being away for a long time. Whether it was that type of shot that will do it, I guess that's up to you to decide. But it is good to see him get another win, because I do think that the hot shotting with Robert Whitaker was a little too soon, and this is back to being like the trajectory that he was already on. So
true. Yeah, it was
yeah,
just a little side quest for him.
exactly. He's back to main quest now and doing it as he should. So I like it.
Yep.
All right. Well, I know that this is a fight that we talked a whole bunch about before, and I know that you got a lot to talk about now. This is Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. Shout out to our homie Bloomis, and shout out to the entire country of Denmark. That being said, Chase, take it away.
I will start by breaking down the fight before I get into what I want to mainly talk about. But this fight started off. It started off a little slow. I almost said Bloomis. Dalby walked in there and doing his thing, ready to fucking fight, walking down. He's got an opponent who is insanely large against him. Randy Brown is actually a giant in this division.
Oh yeah.
I will make that point. So the fact that Nicholas Dalby was already at a disadvantage like that, and he had to just get in and blast some shots. Randy Brown was playing the outside a lot until about midway, 3/4 through the first round. He catches Dalby with a wild hook that just lands right on the nose and breaks Dalby's nose. It's one of the more gruesome breaks that you'll see in the fight, because he continues to go with it, and he gets hurt. He steps back and he has to take a moment, like, all right, am I actually going to do this? Like, all right, we got to go. At this moment, actually, I would like to point out Nicholas Dalby, the post fight pictures that he's posting, his nose looks fine. His eye is like the worst part of it. Like, I'm
Oh yeah,
looking at
they reset it, so it's like,
but
yeah.
like, still, you would think there might be something wrong there, but like, no, I'm like, man, his nose looks fine. Like, damn, Tate cut, man. Like, good job, man.
Yeah, for real.
But okay, so after the nose break, this is where Randy Brown begins to do his trash talking. And I want to make a note that this is pitiful on his end, because as a man, you don't listen. Michael Jordan said it best. The sign of a good man is when you talk shit. The score is 0-0. It's easy to talk when you're up 4, 5, 6, 7. But if it's 0-0 and you talk shit, You know you're about it. Randy Brown's gonna wait until he breaks Buddy's nose, and then he wants to act like he's hot shit. Immediately after that, he gets taken down and held down for the rest of the round, drenched in blood because Nicholas Dalby is on top,
I don't,
smothering him.
he got dropped.
Oh, he did get dropped. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's actually the main part. My apologies. Yes, you got your ass sat on the fucking mat, and then you didn't want to talk. You didn't want to do any more talking after that. You want to be all happy, doing your little dancey, doing that shit when you break somebody's nose. Then you get dropped on your ass and you're laid on for the next fucking 2 minutes. Then what? Then what, Mr. Randy Brown? You didn't have shit to say. Going into round two, Nicholas Dalby obviously has a broken nose. He can't fucking breathe. He's drinking blood out the back of his neck, is how the commentary described it. He had to just go for it. I mean, he kind of figured there's not 3 rounds coming in this one. I know he's a dude who's never been finished, but maybe that was his excuse. Like, I've just never been finished. Like, I just got to go for it. We'll just see what happens, because it looked like he just went into the storm. It was a wild flurry, and he was almost close. Like, if Randy Brown wouldn't have caught him with the hook, Dalby was just about to catch him with one. So it was really one of those make or miss kind of moments. Randy Brown obviously sits Dalby square on his face, broken nose, smashed against the mat. It was pretty hurtful to see,
Yeah.
but then you get Randy Brown coming again to talk his shit, to prance around the fucking ring like he's the fucking man. And, it's one thing to be that way after, you can celebrate. You can be happy that you overcome the odds, but don't fucking come in there. Don't win the fight and act like you were just a fucking man. Like, it just wasn't the fucking case. Like, there was moments where you were fucking worried and then you shut your fucking mouth. So just take into account when you go into fights with other people, that when the time comes that you get put out and you ain't got shit to say again, I will keep the receipts, buddy. You do it against Nicholas Dalby, but then you fucking lose to Brian Battle. So it doesn't really matter.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, I think that was a very well articulated breakdown of this whole situation. Dalby is a Danish legend. That point blank period. So, we both, if you go back, I had posted a clip from last week in the shorts of us talking about this fight. And Chase kind of swung me over to his way of thinking about this fight when it came to who I was picking, because I originally was picking Randy Brown, and I kind of got swayed over
My
to
bad.
Nicholas Dalby. No, I'm giving you credit for it, because I still think that the point stands. Dalby is as tough as nails. I mean, this dude, to walk through the fire and the flames after getting his nose smushed to the side of his face like silly putty. I mean, it was funny because, when we were doing the watch along, we have the volume pretty low, so I didn't hear it on commentary, but I had said, and commentary said, that this was akin to Mike Perry when he got his nose broken, and it really was. I mean, like, just, you just imagine the nose just going smish all across the side of the face. That's what happened here. And Dalby, he might have taken a brief pause to assess the situation, but he chose the hard option and said, I'm going right back in there. This dude is as tough as they get. So it really is a shame to me that he didn't ascend through this sport earlier in his life, because he is 40 years old now. Because I feel like if we saw the 32-year-old Dalby at this level now, like, things could be so much different. And that's just an unfortunate reality that we're never going to get. But all things considered, I thought that Dalby really handled himself very well in this fight based on the circumstances, and getting knocked out the way that it happened, bro. If it's gonna go down that way, that's exactly how it should go down, because it reminded me a little bit, and I think that they also made this point on commentary, that, the circumstances, of course, were different, but the way that they were throwing down in the center of the octagon, biting down on the mouth guard, it was akin to the BMF knockout, I
Mhm.
mean, to the Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje. So, I mean, there's no shame in that, in my opinion. Brown's showboating and stuff, I really didn't get it, because, like, the way that he was shit talking and all that, because they were saying on commentary that, like, apparently that all stemmed from uh Dalby making a comment about Randy Brown being sort of a dirty fighter based on eye pokes or something. I didn't really know why that would be enough for Randy Brown to, like, really take that to heart and start
'Cause
being a
it's
dick
true.
about it. Yeah, right. I mean, that's, yeah, there you go. I mean,
You're a fucking dirty fight. I'll dirty fight you, buddy.
right.
Like,
Yeah, I guess so. That's the best idea I could get out of it. But so yeah, I didn't really get all that part of it. People get hype in fights. I didn't really see it as like as bad as, like, how you're perceiving it. But when you're making the points, I'm like, I do understand your point of view on all of it, and it does make sense. So good win in the end for Brown, even if it was I don't want to say it's lucky because it's like he did land the shot, you know. I mean, the shot did land, so you can't really like, you know, say that it was a lucky strike. But at the same time, it's like who could have anticipated that it was going to be the shot that smushed Dalby's nose into you know, into claymation.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, Dalby I feel like there's no shame in this. I think that he deserves all the respect in the world. This dude is a great representative of Danish MMA, and you know, he deserves to be heralded in the pantheon of amazing Danish MMA fighters.
If I actually want to break down where I think it actually, like, I think the style, why this went wrong for Dalby is he was not able to initiate the kicks that he was normally able to. He does throw a lot of wild kicks that are like close as hell that you would never think a kick should ever come from. And I think in this matchup, he was never able to get the kicks going. I mean, he did land a lot of low kicks, but I don't think they were necessarily as impactful as he wanted them to be because every time he would throw them, Randy's arms are as long as Dalby's legs. So he can just
Right.
he can blast down the pipe, whatever you want to say. And I think it was just a hard matchup for Dalby because taking away the uncertainty of a head kick, I mean, coming in the pocket, that's a pretty big weapon at the time. And Randy Brown is somebody who doesn't need to be in the pocket to trade well. At the end of the fight, he did stand in there. Like you said, they both bit down on the gumshoe and they were ready to start trading. And I give him props there. But I just, you shouldn't have disrespected my boy Dalby. I mean, you wanted to be a dickhead about it, and you listen. You didn't want to talk after you got dropped. That's all I'm saying. If you would have laughed it off like Kevin Holland would do, I'd be okay with it. Like, okay, you giving me props. All right, 1-1. You got me. I got you. Whatever. But no, he wanted to be an asshole. So.
Yeah. Well, so there you go. And this is a fine example of a fight where you can win the fight and lose a fan. You know,
Mhm.
obviously, I mean, because really, I think that Dalby's stock to me is just, you know, if it didn't raise, it's at least still even to me because I think he really is a warrior. I mean, like, you know, you want to talk about embodying the warrior spirit. That's exactly what he did in this fight. And, you know, obviously on the other side, you know, that kind of stuff ain't flying with Chase. So there
Fact.
you know. So yeah, the only other thing I did have as a note that was kind of funny was that in between rounds, they, you know how like they'll go over to the corner and do like the listen in thing. They went to go over to listen to Dalby's corner based on obviously the nose break, but they didn't have a Danish speaker to translate it. So we just never really got to know what was being said. We just sort of
Part of
saw
the
what,
mystique, dude.
I guess so. Yeah, you know, it was just, you know, one of those lost in translation, you know, kind of moments, I guess.
I don't know if you noticed. I think this is maybe I probably forgot about the first time that I noticed it. Probably the first fight. The coach's corner was 100% mic'd up for this event. I don't know if you noticed it. Throughout the entirety of the fights, you could hear both coaches' corners giving, the ideas.
Yeah, they were
And
noticeably loud, I guess.
there was actually one point, I forget which fight it was. Somebody was in top mount, and the coach said something, and he said, "Shut up." He said, "Don't say that." Like I forget who it was, but it was like, oh, they are loud. Like this is in an arena too. This isn't the Apex, but it might have been Matt Schnell. Now that I think about it, he was like, "Shut up! Like don't fucking say that. Like I know I got you. I get it, but don't fucking tell him that I'm gonna do the move," kind of deal.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, but so that's really all I had for this one. Unfortunate loss for Dalby. I think that you know, the nose break obviously is one of those what if situations. Had that not been a shatter face kind of shot, you know, things could have been a lot different. But still getting the drop at the end of the first round there too. So I think it was a very fine performance, even in defeat. And Randy Brown continues on up the ranks. This is another guy that they're saying needs to be ranked and.
I mean, no, not the fuck even in the slightest. This dude has no grappling ability whatsoever. After the knockdown, what did he do? He did this fucking move where he hugs him as close as he can so Dalby doesn't get any fucking, leverage to get, any type of arch, whatever you want to say. The dude didn't even attempt to get up. I know he was rocked in days. All right, let me wait till the round ends type of deal. But like, brother, if you can get laid on by Nicholas Dalby, who's a fucking striker, I don't know what to tell you. Somebody's going to do better. And they may not have to rock you to do it, but they're going to go for the single leg. And you have some long legs that look like they're pretty easy to grab. Somebody's going to be able to get the trip. Just saying.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see it in the next fight. but
Brian Battle already proved that all you have to do is just hold him against the cage. Like, I mean, even if you don't want to count that as a win for Brian Battle, Randy Brown wants to cry about that shit. It's like, dude, you don't know how to fucking nullify it and get the game in your wheelhouse. So don't be mad at him. You know, you got a knockout here. Congratulations. They spoon fed you a fucking 40-year-old man that was going to trade with you. But
that's easy to say now, though.
it is. But we'll continue going on, remembering that like Randy Brown, it's just not what I don't know. I'd have to see who the opponent would be first for me to take my pick. But if it's somebody that has any grappling instincts, I mean, I don't know, guys.
All right. Well, there you go. So I guess we'll wait and see what they do because it probably will be a ranked opponent next time. So if that's the big test, then we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. So moving on to this fight, this is Michel Pereira versus Abus Magomedov. This was one of the strangest fights that I've seen in quite some time. Michel Pereira looked off from the second that this thing started. I believe, and I really do stick by this. You know, you referenced that we're reviewing the show The Cage on this channel, on both of our channels. Doing the review of the Netflix series, and on that show, the main character was in a fight and landed like 0 strikes in the first round of his fight. I believe that Michel Pereira landed 1 kick in round 1. And I'm not kidding. I think that was about it. He looked stun locked in the first round.
I want to actually say that while the game plan low key did start to pan out, the game plan was okay, wait for a boost to gas himself and then do something later on in the fight. But what the game plan realistically came out to be was Michelle do nothing for 2 rounds, wait for a boost to beat you up for 2 rounds, just get every punch that he's ever thrown, just let him hit you with it. Let him wobble you, let him do whatever he wants. And then the third round, you throw 7 punches, like no more, no less, 7, and you make it interesting with just those 7. It's
Well,
like actually no, because I want to bring it up. I talked about the fucking meme jokingly. That was hilarious. How does Michel Pereira have money for a yacht if he did not bet against himself on this one? Plus 240, dog. You're gonna tell me? Oh, it was plus 105. But either way,
that was a rental. But
nah, that's
anyway,
true. Probably
anyway,
he's still on the dock,
but
you know.
yeah, right, exactly. But no, I take issue with this assessment though, because yes, Abus had free reign to do whatever in that, at least in those first, maybe round and a half, I would say. But like he was pretty much just doing exactly that, whatever, because like he really wasn't like super technically sound. Like he was just kind of like feeling his way through some sloppy junk, which was effective because Pereira wasn't doing anything. But round 2, it sort of started to even out a little bit because Abu started getting a little sloppy himself. And, I mean, like he wasn't looking great. I've never been like a hater like other people have been a hater, but I was like, he's not looking like super technically proficient here. And then this is round 2 is when this thing really went into the twilight zone because like both of them were just getting sloppy. And this is where I referenced it earlier, but like it felt like when Darren Elkins versus Julian Erosa, if both fighters were Darren Elkins.
Yeah, this one, dude, I actually think it's hilarious, and I actually want to have some justification for Abus because all you've heard up until the lead up of this fight, and you're going to hear it every fight that Abus goes into from here on out, is that he got finished by Sean Strickland, and that was 3 fights ago now, and the cardio is always going to be questioned by a lot of people because that's exactly how Sean Strickland finished him. He gassed him out and TKO up against the cage. Abus has not lived over he has not gotten over the allegations on his cardio after this fight. I wholeheartedly believe that the cardio is going to be a factor in his downfall. But I want to give reasoning. When this fight started, I said, and this is back to, Chelsea Chandler's fight, is like sometimes you just know, like something looks a little different. A boost came in here and he looked like he put on muscle. Like he put on like his back was huge. Like I remember him being like kind of a slender guy. Like, but this one he looked very stocky. So considering that he's already had some cardio issues and he was already slender, I think putting on the extra muscle and going into this fight where you'd literally throw every punch you've ever thought about and land it probably. Yeah, you're gonna be tired. You're gonna be pretty tired when the fight is about over. He was in the he was in fight or flight mode towards the end. He was just kind of going through the motions and trying to evade a lot, and actually surprisingly he was landing some pretty big shots, although all considered him being very tired, but like he rocked Michelle in the third round and made him do chicken dance kind of deal. Um, and I don't know, guys. I think Abuse is fine. I think it's fine. He has the striking abilities. He does a lot of teep kicks and front kicks. He keeps him at range. He's good. The striking is fine. And then he does have the wrestling to rely on. He obviously wasn't able to get it in this matchup as well as he should, but I still think it's in his back pocket for the matchup that'll need it. One last thing.
Mhm.
At the post fight, I can't remember who it was. Was it Paul Felder? No, he wasn't there. Somebody who was doing the Cage Shine interview. They said, "Who do you think is next?" I'm thinking a ranked opponent, or maybe they said like a title fight is coming soon, or something like that on this fight. And I said, "Holy shit, you need to get him out the fucking cage!" Like that was like the weirdest thing ever, because like you're like 7 fights off from it at this point. It was weird.
Yeah, and if this was the fight that you thought is like representative of that analysis, that is wild as fuck.
Yeah, it was weird.
Because yeah, the crowd is booing, cell phones are going up with doing the screens, they're doing the wave thing with that, like lighters in the air kind of thing. It was crazy with that. Yeah, I mean, 30-27s across the board for a boost was comical in real time. I was cracking up about that. I mean, I'd have to go back again to
You don't think it was 30-27?
I mean, you're saying that he got rocked in the third round. I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to re-see
dude,
that,
he
dude.
he hit he didn't fall or anything, but, like, you can tell Michelle got hit, and then he's, like,
I'm
staggering off
that
balance. It was
then that would I don't think that it was gonna be enough if he didn't actually go down. He definitely did not go down. And I mean, like, I think that he definitely did enough to take that third round. I mean, like, come on, dude. Like 30-27s across the board just seems crazy to
see,
me.
I think this is a perfect representation, and, I've heard it already. There's a reason that I'm not a professional judging of mixed martial artists, because a fight like this, clear domination, 30-27 to me.
Domination.
Yeah, 100%.
Uh,
Even with him gassing out. We'll talk about later on down the card. There's another one that is pure domination where there's no single round, questionably maybe one round one. But here, 30-27 across the board. Abus handled his business. Michelle had literally nothing for it. And there was no moments that Michelle had you thinking secured the round. He secured it because he got beat on for 5 minutes after 5 minutes after 5 minutes. The third round, yes, Abus was tired, but he held enough ground to skate to the decision. That's just
Yeah,
all I
well,
can.
I mean, I do have it in the notes that I'm like, upon rewatch, I saw it a little bit more than in real time, but just in real time, what I said about it in real time was that I didn't, this fight was so weird that I didn't really like, I was kind of lost in the sauce, I think, a little bit, because I'm like, it was just hard to follow with how sloppy this fight was. It felt like, I remember us talking about Darren Elkins and saying that you had said that it looked like he was fighting underwater. I was like, this is like two dudes fighting like legitimately underwater. Like it was very like, it was just strange. So like, what I said on the watch along was that like I didn't really care who won the fight, but it definitely did not feel like either one of them won every single round.
Well, I just think it's funny. It's like you take away Michelle's backflips, you take away his off the cage Superman punches. What does he have? I mean, like literally, like I mean, this dude in the last two of his fights offered nothing for the total of 7 rounds that we've seen him. The first round of Fluffy, okay, cool. 7 rounds since then, 6 rounds since then. No, it is seven. They got to round four, whatever. 6 rounds, 7 rounds since then. He hasn't done a goddamn thing. He ain't done nothing but get the cardio. That's
Yeah, well, I
crazy.
mean, that's the thing, and Senko had brought it up on commentary, and I'm always like a little cautious to say that they're like, outside circumstances or like speculate on that kind of thing.
He had
But
his bet down, buddy.
yeah, well, all right, yeah, maybe. But it just like I said at the start of this thing, it looked like he was just not there. I mean, and like you could even see it in like his body language, because like the guy who did the whole choreographed dance routine from back in the day when he, got
I
that?
think he did it this time too.
No, did he? He did not.
There was a
No
new
way.
clip. There was a new clip. Yes, it was a different
No.
clip than before. I'm pretty sure
No.
because people were making the joke. It's like Michelle was so tired. Here's why, and it's like another dance clip.
I
But
mean, if that's the case, I need to see it. But like, I don't like. He just looked like from the start of this fight, like he was just like there was something wrong. There was just like something was off. It reminded me a little bit of Brandon Allen versus Nasruddin Imavov in the way that like just the body language I'm talking about, not the performance. But just like how to me, I was like, there just seems like there is something not right with this guy right now, and that carried over through the entire fight.
see, and it goes both ways because you just said exactly that. Something is not right with that guy because you look at Michelle, and if you look directly into his eyes, you could see there's something off with this dude. He's a little crazy, and you can tell in his recent, like in performances that since I've joined watching religiously, the Michelle Pereira that has that look in his eye fights like a fucking madman. This is not the same Michelle. I don't know where. I don't know what's going on, outside factors, whatever you want to say, but like this is not the Michelle that I've been accustomed to. This is the Michelle that people would have told me don't put money on because he's had weight issues and he's kind of, he's an unexpected type of personality, type of this and that. And it's like I didn't see that because he was just finishing people left and right as soon as I came in. But now it's like I'm starting to see where the skill gap is. Like his ceiling must not be very high.
Yeah, fair. It's definitely looking more like that now. And did want to throw this up here that yeah,
Yes, exactly. There was another one. Yes, there was
shout out to
another one.
TJF saying that he's confirming that the dance clip does exist. If that's the case, bro, never dance again.
No, this is actually perfect time to bring it up because Dana White, for the longest time, he has been saying like, "We're not doing that dumb shit anymore. You're not coming out here to have a fucking party and then come out." And then he continues to let people do it. Like, Thayanara had her little dance fucking moment, and then this one was a whole dance routine again. And I think it's funny that Dana White does not stand on that business one bit because they did just sign a partnership to bring music from this band. I don't fucking remember the fucking name off the top of my head. Jesus Christ. But it is the people who make the WWE soundtrack, and they are going to start making personalized walkout music for the fighters. And I think it is just very interesting that Dana just succumbed to the pressure on this one. He saw that like, oh, they do make money just by walking out listening to music. Like that's a big thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of this in the slightest. I was trying to go back and find the name of that because yeah, we
I
were talking
looked
about
them
this
up. I
earlier.
looked them up. I can get it quick. I'm so sorry. But yeah, it's actually interesting that Dana was so reluctant.
Oh yeah,
And
Def Rebel.
there you go. There you go. Def Rebel. Yes, they make very obnoxious hip hop music for Jay Uso. You would know if you guys were fans, but I'm just saying, Dana White, if you are gonna keep entertaining Michelle Pereira's dance routines, then bring the Jabberwockies back and let's get us a whole fucking thing.
Please don't turn the sport I love so much into the WWE.
At least give us a large ramp for them to walk down. I think that is the bare minimum we can do. Having them walk out of the locker room, that's the old ways. Get them to walk down a whole fucking ramp that's 300 meters long and they go straight down to the ring, or they get one of those little carts like they had Andre the Giant on and they just wheel them down. I think one of these is definitely an option.
All right, I hate all of this. Let's. Did you have anything else to say about Michelle
No, I
Veda?
thought no, not Michelle, but Abus, I still think great things are to come if you continue to work on your cardio. I think that is where the skill set is reaching a limit is if you cannot continue to work at a maximum capacity for the allotted time in the matchup.
I would agree with that at this point. I mean, and now we're really like the cracks in the game are starting to show so much. And if this, because we had touched on it a little bit, it's like if this was the conserving, scaling for late game kind of performance, then this is definitely not the way to do it. I mean, I do give a little bit of credit for recognizing that you gassed as early as you did in a 5-round fight in the previous fight with Fluffy, but like this is not the way to fix that problem. And if you can't fix that problem, then that's a bigger problem that I don't even know how you really address.
It's actually an interesting dynamic because when you're somebody who gets thrown into a main event and it's a 5-round fight and this is you have an opportunity to either make more 5 round fights for yourself, or you're going to go back to 3 rounds. When you go into a 5 round like Michelle and you blow your load in the first round and then you get dominated for the rest of it, you come into your next fight thinking, okay, I got to conserve energy and I got to start slow. But now you only have 3 rounds to do it, so you're giving up the first round, potentially the first half of the second round, but you're not understanding that the time difference is what's going to kill you. You can't, it's a fine line of starting slow and finding your groove, but you got to do it just a little quicker than you're thinking because you don't have the extra 2 rounds.
Right.
Not like you'd
Absolutely.
fucking make it to them, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Take a note out of Piotr Jan's book if you're going to try to play that game, you know.
Hmm. What was the note? Can you say it? I don't
Oh,
remember.
just that, Piotr Jan is known for dropping like the first round. They call it
Mm,
downloading the information and all that, but then he
yes,
comes
yes.
out in the second and third and fourth and fifth if he has them and goes and is a killer, you know.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, well let's keep it moving on along here. Next up was Giga Chikadze versus David Onama. Yeah, I was happy with the way that this one went down. Up, you're shaking your head. What happened here?
No, I actually think this was a great performance from David Onama. I did not hate my pick on Giga because once again I thought, a different day, maybe the judging goes to him. But
Mm,
as the fight progressed, the first round was great. As the fight progressed, you basically come to the realization that you're watching not a has been, but the physical aspects of Giga Chikadze. Like he's an old soul at this point. Like his physicality is just it's too measured for what we need him to be in this division right now. Because once it got to the actual physical aspects, he got grappled, he got thrown to the ground, and he actually didn't even get up. He couldn't get up one bit. But I thought the striking looked well enough that I could make the thought like, oh, at one time, this is why he was towards the top of the division. Like I can see that it once was there, but then he starts to slow down and he doesn't do the same things that he was getting success in the first round. He starts to leave his hands a little low. He gets a little too bouncy. And I don't know. I think at one time Giga, I would have been happy to keep placing money on him. But at this point, I think a 3 round fight, he's not going to be able to have the same output in round one, two, and three. I don't know.
yeah, I'm not I'm not opposed to this assessment. I think there might still be a little bit more in Giga than maybe you're given credit for, but this performance I think was maybe a little bit more on Onama's side being like sharp and an up and coming guy. And so that dynamic is definitely there. Cause Giga, yeah, I mean, he's 36 years old, so he is a little bit towards the later side, but we've seen guys who are at that age who can still do the damn thing. So yeah, I just think that there might still be some success, but it's going to be like middling success for Giga.
Mhm.
And that's where I've kind of come to, and that I think I even sort of already had in my mind, even going in before going into this fight, because I think I had talked on the predictions episode saying that like Giga has let me down bad in the past, so like I've already kind of resigned myself to not being fooled again when it comes to him. But that all being said, on his side, I thought that Onama really put on a very like well-rounded, sharp performance here. I mean, both had success in the first round, but Onama's instincts like going forward is you hear me on the watch long say that a lot. Like, David Onama has very like keen instincts for a newer guy. He takes a shot that stings him, he wraps up Giga and gets the takedown. He wants to get the takedown, he waits for the right timing for it. The fight IQ was on point for this guy, and I was like, this is something that really stuck out to me against a guy who's a little bit older, a little bit more accustomed to seeing everything when it comes to being in the cage. So I was really happy with the way that he navigated this fight. I had it 1-1 going into the third. It was unfortunate because when Onama went for the takedown in the third, there was a head clash that really sounded pretty obnoxiously bad. Like, it sounded like it might have hurt both of them, but
And then he was on the ground, like kind of holding his head a little bit once he
that's
got the takedown, and then
the
Giga was
yeah.
doing some elbows to the back of the head kind of area.
Exactly. So yeah, it was there was it was a little bit of some unfortunate aspects to that part of it, but that's one of those things you chalk it up to the danger of the sport. But I give Onama a lot of credit for maintaining control through the one stand-up attempt that Giga did muster. So good job with the control there for him. I think the one note that I have about Onama is that if he lights a little bit more of a fire in his belly, lets his hands go a little bit more, I think he could be pretty deadly going forward. I think it just takes a little bit more of like engaging the killer instinct. Because really, I think technically he's pretty sound, and I was pretty happy with him here.
Yeah, I think he's just one of these examples of somebody who comes into a mixed martial arts bout and plays a mixed martial arts scoring. Like, he's not necessarily in here to win a fight. It just looks like he's there to rack up points in the striking game. Like, that's just what I feel Giga's doing. And I think that does, as time goes on, you lose a lot of the motivation that once got you to where you need to be. Like, things change. You go through a lot of different things in life that'll give you different reasons to fight. Maybe he's not fighting for the reason that's necessarily going to make him fight the best, but first round of this one, I thought he did well. And if you look at the last one with Arnold Allen, technically he lost the last two. In my opinion, I don't really love that, but he starts out fine in the first round, and then the next two rounds it's just not the same output, and I think that's what's getting him caught up in the losses. And I think that's just due to the age. I think that's he's just catching up earlier than most.
Yeah, and I guess you sort of do have to keep in mind that Giga was out of the sport for quite some time. Thankfully, overcoming cancer, but he was in a battle with cancer for quite a good amount of time, a little extended period there. So,
They said
uh,
he also just came back from neck surgery after the Arnold Allen fight. Like, he like lost feeling in his arm or something.
yes, they did say that. You are correct. So yeah, so I mean, these are sadly unfortunate elements of the sport that are part of the game, and they affect different people in different ways. And if they're all taking their toll on Giga, then it just unfortunately is what it is. There's really not too many ways you can get around it sometimes, and he can only fight within the capacity that he has, and what he's physically able to do. So there are a lot of factors, I guess, working against him. And the Giga kick, as it is known, was not really on display in this fight. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be something that he's going to be able to get going again. That all being said, it does feel like a little bit of a backslide, and like I don't think that he's completely out. Like I said, I think that he's going to be one of those middling guys that can get a win loss, candy cane record incoming kind of thing, and that's just going to have to be okay for him because that's what's left.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's hard in this division too when you're somebody who's just a striker. But coming from Georgia, like you would think the people that you could have in your camp, or you could reach out to for some help on some grappling, they're the best in the fucking world right now. Like, I don't know what you're doing, buddy. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, just to wrap it up, good on David Onama for a nice win, and I believe that puts him in the rankings now. I mean, I think Giga was 14 or something along those lines.
Interesting. That's actually really good for him. Actually, shout out to Anakin. I like the comment you just put. Bryce Mitchell would be a nice fight. I don't think that would happen because Bryce Mitchell is the person that you have to get in a polarizing fight. Like, it's like Giga and Bryce Mitchell's not going to get somebody going. Bryce Mitchell and such, that gets a crowd going.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that entirely. I mean, there were very specific circumstances with Bryce that made him into a fighter that had a fight like that. But if he tries to shake that, or if the organization doesn't want to play into that any further, and if Bryce stays on good behavior, which who the hell knows if that's going to happen, he might be able to break that stigma.
We'll see. But yeah, I mean, going forward, David Onama's probably pretty decent, especially
I,
for how young he is.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I think that there's a lot of a lot of good elements to him, and he just needs to turn up the heat a little bit. Just really like get that fire going, and there can be a lot of good stuff coming from him.
Anakin knows ball. Danny, yeah, give him to David Onama. That's the perfect fucking person right there.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, good stuff.
All right.
All right, well, let's keep this train moving here. Going on to the co-main event of the evening, of course, Anthony Smith versus Zhang Minyang. I mean, this was a heralded event here based on Anthony Smith and his very long career in the UFC. What'd you think of the fight?
I think watching the fights, you pick up on. I think sometimes people forget that this is a rhythmic sport. Repetition is key. So when you watch somebody in a fight and they do something a lot, It's it's one of their favorite things to do. It comes natural for them. So when you come into this fight and the fight starts on the feet, Anthony Smith actually looked pretty decent on the feet to start. He looked like he was willing to trade. He was walking him down a little bit, and then I said, wait till Zhang Mingyang steps in with the elbow. He's not going to jab after a while. He's going to just step right in with the elbow. And what happened? He stepped right in, cut Anthony Smith on the top of the head. Probably the most blood that we've seen in 2025. Because this cut on the top of Anthony Smith's head, it was the leading contributor to the end of the fight. I mean, he couldn't see. He was getting busted up outside of the cut, and the elbows were just mauling Anthony Smith, laying in a pool of his own blood. I know some people would say it's poetic for him to go out like this, but did we really need this, guys? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's tough with that because yeah, I know that's like the overall prevailing thought if you want to be positive about it is, oh, he went out like a warrior, and that's I guess that there is some like you said, a little poetic element to that, but man, I mean, it was a lot of blood. And it was interesting to me because Smith, like you said, he started off doing some step in elbows of his own. Like it was like he was trying that, and Zhang Mingyang was just like, oh, those look nice. I guess I'll do a couple myself here, and it ended up being very, very effective. So yeah, the cut turned everything very bloody. Zhang Mingyang saved himself from a DQ loss, though, when he, very, very nearly cut or kicked, rather, excuse me, when he very nearly kicked Smith while he was downed. Then goes straight to the spine punches and shots to the back of the head. It was like, brother, please pick up a copy of the rule book.
Pick a struggle, dude. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, because it was just like, dude, I mean, you're obviously going to win this fight. Like you're at that point, it was already, Smith was doing what sadly is often the case where he kind of, goes down, he's hugging the legs, he's shelling up a little bit. It was, he's kind of resigned to the position that he's in, and Minyang had free reign to do what he wanted. So why would you do that? Like, just take 2 extra seconds to get yourself into legal strike territory, and then there's no controversy whatsoever. But regardless of that, this was pretty much your standard Anthony Smith crumbling. And Zhang Minyang might be a legitimate problem at light heavyweight.
I think you made a key point, and I did forget about this. Yes, he did go for the soccer kick while Anthony Smith was down, and he held himself back. I normally am, dirty fighters. They're in the rough. Sometimes they come. I don't think Zhang Mingyang is one of them, but I will say that the instinct to kick your opponent while he's on the ground shows me this dude wants to win fights. He's not here to fucking play by your rule book. No, he's here to kill somebody. And I think that is key for him going forward because that's the type of mentality you got to have. You're not here to spare Anthony Smith. He wouldn't respect you for that. You go kill him. You go put his head in the mat. You elbow him in the spine. You do whatever you got to do. Not saying that realistically, but it did end up that way a little bit. And Zhang Mingyang, I mean, the Mountain Tiger is here to stay, and he did have an all-time bar in his post-fight speech. If you don't know, now you know. So I like him.
Yeah, and calling the crowd to boo him on more. I thought that was a fun move there as well. Playing into it a little bit.
Dana, Dana. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's great.
yeah, it was good stuff. I enjoyed that as well. Yeah, so yeah, I mean that was pretty much the fight. I mean there really wasn't too much to the fight. Zhang
The
Mingyang,
ending was the
yeah,
better
well,
part.
and I was just leading into that. Yeah, I mean it was a kind of interesting that Anthony Smith loses the fight in the cage, so he decides to pick a fight with some rando in the crowd for some reason. That was interesting.
Yeah, so it's funny, I didn't catch it at the time. So the camera pans to the doctor, helping Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith is sitting in the middle of the cage, and he just hits a handful of fuck you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a lot of them, and it's really funny because then he stands up and he walks towards the cage. He's that you like, and even Zhang Mingyang is like, yo, dude, calm down, buddy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
let me pull you off because whatever. Yeah, when your opponent that viciously beats you has to pull you off from fighting with a fan, it's like you're in too many loops. The layers on this onion is intense.
It was very, very funny when they hit the crowd shot with the spotlight, and the entire crowd's like, "Whoa!" What? Yeah, they all hit the Shaggy defense. It wasn't
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
So yeah, that was an interesting element of it. Somebody in the crowd threatening Anthony Smith's family, perhaps, but Regardless of all of that, I suppose I did think that Smith's post-fight speech and the video package was nice. Apparently, he's Jelly Roll's favorite fighter, so that was interesting as well. What'd you
Is
think of the
that
video
the
package?
actual case? Is that the actual fact? Jelly Roll was like, "This is my favorite fighter. I need to do the intro. I need to do the fucking
I
music for
said
him."
it. He was in the video package. Like he was there in it. He like he said, you know, you're one of my favorite people to watch and all this kind of stuff. I would assume that he wanted to be in it. I don't think that they just trotted him out at random.
I just think it's funny. I just think it's really funny out of all the people, out of all the respected names in mixed martial arts history, they couldn't get somebody to open up that was like not Jelly Roll, like the tattooed country singer. Like I don't
Yeah,
know.
but they used his song in there, and to be fair, I actually thought the song was pretty good. I don't know much of his music. I've never listened to him before, but I did. I was listening to the song a little bit, and I was like, this is actually pretty nice. I do like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no cap. The video did have some good moments. It made Anthony Smith actually look like he was a dog. I mean, he
Yeah,
was,
well,
but
and that leads into this conversation that has been going around, which I think is very fascinating because there are people out there who say that Anthony Smith may be Hall of Fame worthy.
oh no, he's for sure. I even said at the moment, I was like, no way they're about to induct him. But even thinking about it, I mean, this is a UFC Hall of Famer for sure. Like,
Oh, see, that's well, okay. That's where we differ then, because to me, if they're going to induct someone like Anthony Smith into the Hall of Fame, there needs to be a specific wing for the type of fighter that he is. Like, it needs to be like the quote unquote lifers wing or something like that, because that to me is the thing that sets him apart. I respect entirely that Anthony Smith has dedicated his entire life to this sport, but a Hall of Fame worthy fighter, I mean, I don't know.
maybe I mean, because I can just totally see an award being named after Anthony Smith. Like this is the Lionheart Award. Like something like that. I could
I'd be
totally
okay with,
see that. But
yeah.
in that case, it's like you can't have an award named after you and just be some guy on the street. Like you got to be a Hall of Famer in the sport for it to even mean anything.
Well, that no, see, that's what I'm saying though, is that it's a very specific designation within the Hall of Fame though, because there are fighters who are like, that's a Hall of Fame worthy fighter. When they just inducted Amanda Nunes, we all thought, I can't believe she wasn't already in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of
Mhm.
Fame was made for her, but like Anthony Smith is nowhere near in the same kind of conversation as that, so it needs to be its own type of thing, you know?
I mean, why is it too crazy to say that a dude who stayed within the top 10 or whatever for a really long time? I mean, at the time when the bell rang, he was the second best light heavyweight. Like, I mean, it's the same conversation about Dominic Reyes. It's like at the time he was the second best light heavyweight, and then he's still floating around fighting tough competition. Like the name is gonna be resume worthy. Like when people say, "Oh, we beat Anthony Smith," like you're gonna know, like, "Oh, we beat Anthony Smith." Somebody who you can argue has all the facets of the game, just in his later years wasn't able to use them as properly as he could have. I think Anthony Smith for sure. Like, I mean, is Nate Diaz a Hall of Famer? Like, it's it's shit like that. I don't know.
Well, it's a good debate, you know. I mean, it's maybe something that we'll have to reapproach, perhaps.
And that's coming from somebody who you could probably find plenty of clips of me not being the biggest fan of Anthony Smith. But I would 100% say this dude should be in the UFC Hall of Fame. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there is the point to be made that he was one word away from winning the belt by disqualification. He, decided. I guess there's a number of different ways you can look at it, but from a Warriors perspective, he said, I wouldn't have been happy winning the belt that way. I could continue to fight, and I did that. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I respect him for that. The fact that he ends his career with a 38-22 record, I don't know. Again, these are the factors that go into the
Is
thing.
Jim Miller gonna be on the Hall of
But
Fame? Like, I
that's
mean,
funny that you say that though, because that's exactly what I had said. Is that if there needs to be a wing for like those types of fighters, and Jim Miller was the example that I gave. Like Anthony Smith and Jim Miller can get their own type of designation within the Hall of Fame if they want to do that.
yeah, I hear you. I mean, I think it is a debate worthy, but It just depends on how much Dana really does like this dude. I mean, he loves Anthony Smith, quote unquote, but he feeds him to everybody that's gonna destroy him in round 1. So I don't
That's
know.
that just like Jim Miller, it's because he picks up the phone every time, you know, and
Yeah.
I respect that. I think that that is definitely a respectable element of you know of a fighter. You know, I mean, he really they say he was cut from a different cloth. He's from a different era of the sport, a different type of fighter, and that's a type of fighter that I definitely respect. So you know, I do acknowledge that.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I
Well,
agree.
you know, and also, you know, Anthony Fantano, the music critic, has the Let's
You watch
Argue.
him?
Oh
Interesting.
hell yeah, I do. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
love
love
him.
Fantano, even though I don't always agree with his takes. But he has the Let's Argue series. Maybe at some point, you and I will do a Let's Argue about whether or not Anthony Smith, you know, truly belongs in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, I probably just got all my words out on it just now. I mean, I'm probably not too big on it, but if it happens, I would not be surprised.
All
Let
right,
me
well,
just
we'll
say that.
find another topic that we can debate
Yeah,
about. I'm
yeah,
sure that we
true.
have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's worthwhile. Anyway,
Hell yeah,
let's
hell yeah.
let's keep this show moving along for today. Here, going on to the main event. Oh, why I went the wrong way. Main event of the evening was Ian Machado Garry versus Carlos Prates. Talk about a dude who, if you're going to conserve and scale for late game, did not do it correctly in the slightest. What'd you think of this fight?
I'm just glad that, the way that I look at it, I do feel I look at the fights objectively. And this is a good example of me putting aside who I really would like to win and understanding that the skill sets would favor Ian Gary. And this is another one where people would argue and tell me this is why I don't score fights. But for the judges to give 48-47 is downright criminal. This was a dog walking by Ian Gary, in my
How'd
opinion.
you score it then?
I mean, it was 4-1 if you want to give him the last round. If you want to give Carlos Prates the last round, sure. But
But not the fourth.
fuck no. Dude, Ian Gary was whooping this dude. He literally was. He was showing that the striking is elite. I mean, this is the dude who comes in with a finish rate that you'd never believe. He's never been taken down. And that actually is a point that I'll make here right now. Carlos Prates' takedown defense is of the caliber of somebody that could win a fucking title. He can stuff a single leg like no other. He can spin you around. He can flip you over. He's got the natural instincts of a grappler. I will say that. And that makes it more impressive because on the feet, we've seen that he's a fucking deadly force. This fight here, I remember, if you remember, I brought it up about Carlos Prates' first fight in the UFC, that the first round, he damn near did nothing. He damn near did nothing, and I didn't want to take it into too much consideration because that was his first fight, and don't blow your gasket in the first minute of your first fight type of deal. But in Carlos Prates' mind, in hindsight, I'm thinking, okay, his idea of taking the measured approach is not doing much. So Ian Gary winning 4 rounds, in my opinion, was an easy call. It was close to 5, in my opinion, because Ian Gary had all the answers. He was mixing in the grappling. He was doing his best to get the takedowns. He didn't get them all. 19 attempts is pretty crazy. I will tell you why he's tired is because when we have somebody standing in front of you and you're doing a lot of mixing in the strikes, leg kicks, high kicks, the punches themselves, you're going to gas yourself out. And to Carlos Prates' credit, for a fucking chain smoking drunk, this guy has got the cardio of fucking GSP apparently, because he was able to have some good moments in the fifth, and he probably should have finished it, but he didn't. And Ian Gary dog walked him, in my opinion.
Well, okay. So, I mean, yeah, giving him credit for the cardio, I don't know if I can necessarily go down that road because you're taking 3 rounds off. I mean,
Hmm.
this is so my note here was to Carlos Prates. I say, if you're going to conserve energy for a 5 rounder, which I do, you know, look, strategy wise, it does make sense to scale, right? You know, you don't want to just, you know, like you said, don't blow your load in the first round, you know, go off crazy and then end up like Michelle Pejeda versus Fluffy Hernandez. Understandable. But if you're going to do that in a 5 rounder, you've got at most 2 rounds to drop. You shouldn't drop any, but
Hmm.
2 rounds is the max. Carlos didn't do anything almost until the 4th round, and that is just unacceptable. And when you do that, when you scale in that way, You allow your opponent to have free reign over every round that you take off. Every minute, every second that you take off, you're allowing your opponent to have free reign. This is a terrible strategy against a technical striker like Ian Garry. Through 3 rounds, this is how bad it was. They showed the graphic on the screen. I was floored, but it made sense when you watch
Less
the
than
fight.
25 strikes.
Brother, it was 55 significant strikes for Ian Garry, 19 for Prates over the course of 3 rounds. That
Yep.
is insanity.
Yeah, it definitely was a bad look. And I actually, in hindsight, I want to talk about the moment that I feel like I knew. Well, in hindsight, the moment I knew it was over. So you go into the press conference, Ian Garry and Prates, they come into this short notice. Prates is DMing, Ian Garry's wife or something, anything like that. It's a little animosity. They get to the face off. They want to have some choice words for each other. But then we get into the cage and Carlos Prates does the glove touch. And it's like, well, you succumb to the pressure. You're not the guy that's going to come out here and kill you. Do the glove touch. Now you want to be friends and have your little high five moments and be cheerful in the cage. But the killer instinct was not there. I think Ian Garry somehow was able to take the killer switch away from him somehow.
Well,
And
that's a great point that you make there, and I'm glad that you brought that up because on the watch along, I was getting furious about that. Where because Ian Garry is having the time of his life, doing whatever he wants, and then anytime that Carlos Prates did anything, it was like, oh yeah, good job there, little buddy. And
yeah.
and I'm like, bro, Carlos Prates, you're supposed to be a killer. Yeah, I literally said those exact words that you're a killer.
Mhm.
You are representing the fighting nerds in one of the highest profile fights that they've had. Basically, I mean, like some are going to be more high profile going forward, perhaps, but this was among them. This is a main event fight. A dude who is surging towards the top of the division here in Ian Garry. So this is a very like big moment for you, and you're having this dude who's basically play fighting with you almost, or at least playing with his food.
Mhm.
And like that is not a position that you ever want to see yourself in. Now I don't, I wouldn't necessarily put as much emphasis on the glove touch. What I guess you can feel how you want to feel about that part of it. But I'm like, I would have thought that if Prates had seen that all of this, like, pat on the head shit that Ian Garry was doing, that he would have maybe had the fire get lit under him a couple of times to be like, I'm gonna slap this dude around and get a little respect here.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's a small thing, glove touches, pay respects. I agree. But if you're gonna be that person who's trying to have the chip on your shoulder, like I'm gonna take out Ian Garry because nobody else seems to be able to, then you better come in there and actually do it. And don't be fucking buddy buddy, after it's not going your way, because then you just look like a fucking pansy. Because now Ian Garry, the cuckold, is dog walking you, and he's asking you to pray with him after the fucking fight. Like I don't know. And it's just an interesting one. I even said before, like, this is obviously the highest level of competition that any of the nerds have fought. So the fact that people thought it was going to be super easy for Carlos Prates, one, shows how overestimated the nerds are right now, and two, shows that we're not
Wow.
realistically thinking about them. Like it is about time that we get the competition that matches, somebody who's fearful of losing. Kyle went to war with fucking Jared Cannonier, and Ian Garry, the skill level compared to Jared Cannonier, I mean, this is light years in my opinion. Ian Garry has so much more to offer. And Jared Cannonier is a different type of fighter in that regard, but Ian Garry has more things that he can mix in there and make an interesting fight out of. And people were really just believing that the nerds are just untouchable. And I think I even said it last week. I said it with you. Is like they believe 4 people are about to have Habib's career. Like they just think they're just untouchable. There's no way that they're losing. Bryce Mitchell out of here. Fucking Imavov out of here. Anybody else you want to talk about? Like I I don't know. Realistically, it's just not going to happen that way. I'd love to see them all succeed, but when you get somebody like Ian Garry who has the skill set to take away all your best aspects and make it a fun, friendly competition for you guys to be all chummy, you're gonna lose probably.
Um, yeah, fair. I mean, I don't necessarily think that this is
See,
like.
Anakin's agreeing with me. Kyle
Well,
might lose to Imavov or I mean Hamzat's obviously maybe a
I mean,
given, and then
look,
Jean Silva's untouchable, dude. That is the biggest belief right now is that Rufi, Kaio, Jean Silva, and Prates even up until Saturday. It's like there's nobody in the division that can beat them. They have all the answers. They trained everything. They've done all the hard work. They got all the tape to study. They know what to do, and I just I think it's stupid to believe that they have all the
Well,
answers.
okay. I mean, let's keep it in perspective though a little bit here, because I mean, I don't think that one loss necessarily topples the entire like house of cards, so to speak.
No,
You know
but
what I mean?
it's the beginning of people getting their hopes and dreams shattered. Like, the nerds are not just gonna be some untouchable, unbeatable fighting force. Like, they're not the fucking Power Rangers, guys. I know we love to believe that the nerd I'm not saying it in a way that they're not. Like, the nerds are a top team right now, and they do have a lot of top talent. But there's a point in everybody's career, especially if all the trajectory is rising at the same time. They're all gonna start facing competition that meets the expectations of what we're going to get out of the fight. Like, so they're not just going to keep dog walking people. Like, I don't know. Ilya, he did. And he's moved up, and now it's
Well,
going to
and
be
that
new,
that
and now it's going to be new challenges for him. So eventually the challenge will come that's going to meet, the opposing force. I don't know.
Well, and that was going to be my point, though, is that it's like, yeah, there are going like, is every single nerd going to be able to be like that dude forever? No, I think that is a realistic way to look at it for sure. Some could, I mean, I think that there's the possibility of a John Silva being one of those, might be, perhaps, maybe. I mean, like, that we got to see. But yeah, I just don't want to like. I don't like the idea of it's like, oh, okay, one loss, and then it's like, oh, well, throw the towel in on these guys now. It's just
No,
like,
definitely not. But I mean, it's just the realization that it can be done should hit all of the nerd fanatics right now. Is
sure,
like, you shouldn't believe, like, going into next fight, if Kyle gets Imavov, it's like you should not walk in there and be like, well, the nerds have all the answers. I mean, they know exactly what they're doing. It's like there's new obstacles, and people have the same tape available that we have. The same holes can be exploited. Maybe you don't see the holes right now, but eventually something's going to give. There's always a stylistic matchup that'll make it interesting. And if you believe that every fight, every style, every type of combination that you can think, the nerds are just going to overcome that. I just don't personally believe that. I think there's going to be stepping stones to the path. They are all destined for something better than where they're at now, yes, but I don't think that's going to be all of them just rising to glory with no fucking losses in the UFC. That's
sure.
just me.
No, yeah, and I think that that's a realistic way to look at it for sure. I didn't know if it was going to necessarily be this fight with the way that I certainly didn't expect Carlos Prates to conduct himself in the way that he did in this fight, as far
You
as
know,
like the scaling and everything.
out of all of them, this one makes the most sense, though. Nobody, like, even me trying to downplay the nerds right now, and I'm not trying to make it sound like that, but like losing to Ian Garry is nothing to be mad about. Prates almost won in the fifth round. If you want to argue it, I have people who will swear up and down like it was not a clear coat victory for Ian Garry, that it was closer than I believe. So you should take it with a grain of salt, but just understand you guys can be beaten. Like, that's just the key. You have to. Jean Silva, you may still come out here and have this mentality that you're never going to lose and you want to bark in everybody's face. But the day that it doesn't happen, I mean, I'm not going to say too much because it's everybody has to lose. Like, I mean, it's just how it goes.
Not John, but anyway.
True.
But
Not Chael Sonnen, actually.
no, well, that's absolutely facts.
Yeah.
So I mean, the last thing I did want to talk about with this fight was just how much stock you put into that fifth round, and Ian getting kind of rocked, because I mean, he did look pretty shaky there for a little minute.
In the moment when I'm watching, it didn't matter to me. Up 4-1, just make it to the bell. I don't give a shit what's happening. It doesn't matter. You won this fight. No big deal.
Hmm.
But realistically, yeah, it was pretty sketchy. If I was rooting for Prates and I was playing with my heart, yeah, I'd be pretty upset that he didn't get the finish, because Ian, the gas tank did wear pretty bad. Like, it was to the point where he's falling on the ground. He can't get to his feet. He's got his mouth open. He's getting hit in his mouth, his little jaws, like flying around. Um, it was worrisome, to say the least, because you just had convincing 4 rounds. Like, that's what made it a little sketchy. But getting to the bell at that point, like, it was like a last 30-second flurry. Like, I mean, and actually, we didn't even make a note about this. I think it was at the end of round 2 or round 3. They just ended the round 10 seconds early.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, we didn't talk about that. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Yeah, all of a sudden the round had like 5 to 10 seconds left on it, and they just decided it was over.
Yeah, I mean, didn't even hear a bell or a horn or anything. That's what was funny. Like, maybe they did the clapper again, and they were just like, "All right, break, go." But like, the ref didn't notice that there was still time. Like, "Hey, no, get back." They both just walked away, and we watched the timer just go from 10, 9, 8. So it's like, they just didn't give a shit.
Yeah, very strange.
Yeah, but all in all, I just I think Ian Garry is I'm it makes me feel confident in what I'm seeing because this is a person that I've been riding for. Same with Abuse. I mean, not in a different sense. Ian Garry is obviously a top fucking talent, but it just makes me happy when I see somebody like this, and I have a lot of stock in what their abilities can be against a lot of different skill sets, and they come out here and do exactly what they need to do. They don't come out here and do it the way that I probably would because I'm not a fucking professional fighter, Ian Garry. I don't know how to break down Carlos Prates and how to win the fight, but that's what you're here for. You are the X factor of the division right now. Like this version of Ian Garry probably beats JDM. I will stand on that.
Well, and on the other side of the coin, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that about Ian Garry, but for me, I think that this was as much as I am a person who puts a lot of stock into the Fighting Nerds brand. I think that this was poor game planning because really, it seems to me that if the Carlos Prates that was fighting in those fourth and fifth rounds had done that from the second round on, or at least peppered it in a little bit more and wasn't playing this, little brother game that he was playing, then this whole conversation could have been a completely different one. So, I don't know how that all like factors in, whether that was more on protest than on the camp or on the camp versus him, or, why he waited so very long to start engaging in a way that was going to be impactful. But whatever the reasoning is, this is what we got. And that I think is the unfortunate takeaway from the protest side of the things.
And you know what's really funny? I'll bring up this point, and you can get a lot of old heads who will talk about this generation and these kids these days, blah 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 blah. But I hate to break it to you, there's a lot of people out there who feel that same way about Mr. Ian Garry, and he's probably the epitome of a modern killer. I mean, he really is. He does the way that he does. He'll take any fight, the scariest people that you don't think that he has a chance against, and he will come out here and show there are levels to it. I don't know, man. This he's a gangster. I mean, it's hard to say that a lot of people don't hate him for the way that he conducts himself, but there's no reason that people should hate him for the way that he fights because this dude puts on one a performance and two a winning performance.
But was it really like an explosive performance though? I mean,
Dude, he whooped his ass.
he
Yes,
he got the
yes.
one nice uppercut. I'll give him credit for that.
No, he whooped his ass for 5 rounds.
All right.
30-second flurry in the 5th is all I will give to Prates if I'm being really on Ian Garry's side here, but 48-47 is criminal for
I,
2
I
judges.
I'll
That's
tell
what
you.
I'll say.
Okay, I guess where I'll leave off with that is that what I would like to see, because I think that with Ian Garry, what we have seen a lot of now is we have seen fighters who fight in a way where he is allowed to fight his style of fight a lot. And I would like to see a fighter who is going to fight the way that Carlos Prates was sold to us as he was going to fight. Like if Carlos Prates had been the Carlos Prates that we thought he was going to be coming into this fight throughout the entirety of this fight, that's the person I want to see Ian Garry fight, to see really how about it he is with that. Because I feel like he's a great point fighter. He's definitely technically proficient. His wrestling is pretty good too. There are elements of him like it's all the stuff we said in the last episode. He's a well-rounded mixed martial artist, but I don't feel like he has fought a dude who is going to bring the fight to him in that way yet, and I want to see that.
And I'll tell you why. And there's a very good reason because you don't have any other explanation saying he hasn't fought that yet, but he's at the top of the division and he's been fighting and he's been active. So the fact that you're saying he hasn't been thrown a skill set is incorrect to me because I think Ian Garry just happens to make every one of his opponents fight the game that he wants. He is able to nullify game plans, skill sets, whatever you think that you're going to come out there and do. Ian Gary's going to flip the script. He didn't grapple immediately on this one. No, he decided to stand and trade with Prates. And you know what he did? He destroyed him on the feet, made it look very easy. And then he said, okay, let's go, let's grapple, let's mix it in a little bit, let's make it fun. And then if you want to give 2 rounds to Carlos Prates after Ian Garry whooped him for 3, sure. I don't think that is correct. As Anakin agreed, 5 rounds of a beatdown. Like it was very easy for him. And like I said, this is the top of the division for so if you're expecting a talent that's going to showcase something new against Ian Garry, well, you better start waiting for new prospects because this is going to be what Ian Garry is going to be able to fight like. If Bilal and Ian Garry matchup. Bilal will probably be able to wrestle, but then Ian Garry's got grappling to back it up. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see just how many levels there are to Ian Garry's game, because I still think we're not gonna see it until, yes, we get that opponent that is able to overcome the game plan that Ian Garry has to make it his fight. But if that's the case, then I assume we're going to see a third, fourth level of Ian Garry's game where the off the back defense is killer. He's maybe able to get to his feet. Maybe he stuffs takedowns like no other. Like, you don't know, because he hasn't allowed his opponents to get close enough to have those moments. Carlos Prates isn't going to shoot. He doesn't shoot takedowns. We know that. But he got murdered on the feet, outclassed, masterclass actually by Ian Garry.
All right. Well, I mean, I think you make a fine point there.
And
So,
and and Anakin close with Shabbat. It's like, dude, that's a dude that had all the tools. Like, he can do it anyway. And Ian Garry made him have to do it one way that he almost didn't win by, kind of deal. I don't know. In my opinion, it was close enough to sell it to either one of them. And I think the choke was that was a pretty good convincing argument for Ian Garry. But either way, I think Ian Garry, again, top talent. If JDM was his next opponent, I think Ian Garry would win. We'll see how the future goes. Hey, the future right here, Ian Garry.
all right. Well, nice way to close it out. And I guess now we know where Chase stands on the on the argument here. So, all right. Well, look, you are correct about that. I mean, he is surging towards the top, and there's not that much farther to go. So we'll see what they end up giving to him, and who can enact a game plan that makes sense against him. But
Here is my assessment. And
mhm.
this is a little long shot. And this is putting a lot of hope into Ian Garry. But you know how Sugar Sean won the belt and he said, I'm running the Sugar Show till 2032. I think Ian Garry is likely to have a longer run that resembles something like the Ian Garry show. Like, I think that is something, because he has all the skills. He's so young and he has the determination. Once he gets there, I don't think that's the end for him. He's gonna want to prove there's nobody that can take the belt from me, kind of deal. So
All
here,
right. Well, remains to be seen, and we will be here to watch it all, I suppose. So, but yeah, that closes out UFC Fight Night Machado Garry versus Prates. Final thoughts on this event?
dude, this one was a good one. There was some stinkers in the earlier on, kind of deal. Like, after we got the first four finishes, the last four fights, well, last three, not the last three, excluding Flick and Schnell, those three in the middle kind of weren't the best for me. But getting into the main card, I mean, it was a little weird. This was a weird one, I'll give you that. We didn't actually make it out as weird as some of the other cards, but I think there was probably just if not as many weird things that happened in this compared to other ones. This one was kind of interesting. You get fluky finishes, you get performances of people that just did not perform like they do. You get clocks that are stopping early, you get refs that are stopping the fights early, you're getting weird judging. Like, this one kind of had it all. Like, this
Yeah,
one,
literally, it's exactly how Vitz King summarized it on the watch along. Just that it was a little bit everything.
I want to say, we didn't get a single eye poke though.
We did. We had
Dalby he questioned it. He was like, "Yo, ref, like, he did
there.
this move," and then the ref checked Randy Brown on it. But
I think
I
that
think that was it.
there was a real quick one, and it didn't last very, like, the stoppage didn't last very long. But I think that there was a real quick one in the Evan Elder fight.
You might be right, but hey, that's pretty good odds. One eye poke out of. Oof, we're getting better, guys. We're getting good.
Exactly. We're on the upswing. So yeah, no, it was a fun event. I enjoyed it. I really, it was like I said, a very nice way to come back after a break, and a little bit of everything, a whole grab bag of interesting stuff, and yeah, some entertaining fights. So good times.
Hell yeah, I
All
enjoyed
right.
this one. Actually, one last note. I mean,
Yeah.
and this is a note to sports gambling. These are the type of fights that when I lose money on them, I don't feel bad at all, because they went out there and tried to put on a winning performance. And that's a lot of people on this card. Specifically, Nicholas Dalby is one of them. I can think of another one off the top of my head real quick. Ikram, something like that. They put on Ikram didn't lose, so that was a bad one. But they put on performances that made me have hope that the money was in good faith. So I can never be too mad at losing when the person didn't act like they wanted to lose me my money, kind of deal. So I appreciate every one of the fighters on this card. They really made it interesting for me.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that entirely. I thought there were a lot of heartfelt performances even in defeat here. So good
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, fun times. All right. Well, we're running a little late. Do you want to still go over some of that current event stuff, or do you want to just move on to the next
We can
card
run
here?
down the current events real quick. Listen, guys. Okay, so here's the current events. Vince Pichel retired. I don't know if anybody has big thoughts about that one. I necessarily only think I've seen him fight once or two times, but actually in the last fight, he didn't look too bad considering he was a 42-year-old man. I mean, decent performance. I mean, I kind of forget who it was against now that I think about it.
Yeah, I'm having a little struggle on that one too. But I always have liked Vince Pichel fights. He's definitely one of those kind of old school brawly type of dudes. And yeah, I retiring I think is probably the right move for him at this point. If he felt it was the right move, then definitely it is. But it was yeah, I'm okay with it. I think I congratulated him on Twitter. I thought good career and yeah, I think that's okay.
And then Anakin, perfect. You know exactly what I actually just looked for it, but you got me. Kevin Jousset was also released from the UFC. I don't know if anybody is too upset about this one. It's just another guy who, at the time, had the paperwork, his background, his resume, mind you, that would kind of maybe make you have some belief in him. But once you see him fight, you've seen him spoil himself a couple different times, and I think it's not a terrible move. Might have been a mutual agreement type of thing. Maybe, hey, a KSW is definitely looking for opponents. Taylor is out there on the board. I don't know if you guys have heard, but we have been streaming Netflix's original The Cage. That happens every time that we get a chance. So if you ever want to jump by and see what Taylor's doing, he might be facing Kevin Jousset soon.
Yep.
Next, Guram Kutatsiladze. I think I got that one
Thank
right.
God this guy is out of here.
Yeah, his last performance was pretty fucking AIDS. I did not care to see him again. The fact that he got released means that I'll forget in the next week that he was ever even a fighter in this organization. So
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah, so Giuseppe and Kutateladze, released. I think that makes perfect sense. We'll be talking about Chelsea Chandler when she gets released, probably in the next couple of days. I
it's
would think.
already Monday, though. We would have seen it. We would have seen it. It would have
It,
been in that batch of them right there.
it's still gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But
Mhm.
either way, yeah. So a couple of
Internet malfunctions, everybody, if you're listening. We are having some technical difficulties. But as of right now, yeah, we got some hot news on the docket. Let's see if he's gonna ever pop back. I mean, yeah, so everything's going on in the news world. Fights keep coming, people keep getting cut. I don't know if you guys also saw Alexander Romanov is
uh,
making his big return. I don't
uh,
remember what league it was for, but yeah, go ahead, continue where you were. I was just keeping him entertained
so
right
no,
there.
thank you for that. Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. I don't know what's going on with these technical problems we've been having lately, but yeah. So no, just a couple people released, and that's all pretty fine. Um, And I mean that was really kind of the end of the thought. Just some new stuff there, and then yeah, the other big news was of course about Francis Ngannou. I'm going to be trying to get a video about that one out tomorrow if I can. But the long and the short of that is that Francis Ngannou was apparently involved in a motorcycle accident that ended up taking the life of a young girl in Cameroon. Minor. They didn't exactly. I don't think that they've announced the age. I think it's some
17.
17. Okay, there you go. But yeah, so the details of it are a little murky at the moment. It has been reported from some outlets that Francis was riding the motorcycle. It was other outlets saying that the girl was on the motorcycle. So not a lot of confirmed detail just yet, but Francis has been pretty tight-lipped about it and not a lot of other information to be had at the moment. So kind of a developing story, I would say.
It is also noted that in the original reports, Frances had paid all the medical bills for the hospital trip, but then she still ended up passing away, which pretty unfortunate. Francis is one of these dudes that life did not give a good spoon to. I don't know how to say it per se, but he's been through a lot in his life, starting out as a child, and then he gets this rise to glory, and then even after his career's not over, but even after the rise to glory, he's still having some hardships that are things that not the everyday person goes through, but these are aren't unheard of things. These can just happen to anybody type of deal. And that's just what's unfortunate, that these things happen to Francis. And then going into this situation, my main thought is, and I it sucks when it comes to situations like these, because talking about them just it doesn't, I don't know, it just feels like I shouldn't be talking about them. But in my opinion, like Francis, this is gonna weigh really hard on him. Like losing your own child is one of the worst things ever. But then accidentally having this happen to someone else's child or whatever, like I'm sure this is gonna take a really big toll on him. I don't know if that means end of his career. But I'm just saying this one is pretty rough.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, yeah, to go through everything that he went through just to get himself to the point of being able to fight professionally, and then of course losing his child, and now this. I mean, it is just a long and tough road. And Francis is one of those guys that has overcome a lot in order to be like a made man in a lot of ways. I mean, with the whole leaving of the UFC and then going over to PFL and the bag that he got over there and everything, and the conversation surrounding that, and it was like, wow, Francis really like made it happen for himself. But it doesn't come without its own set of struggles, and that's this side of everything.
Yeah, it's a pretty sad one. Hopefully we get more information on the actual incident and we can clearly see what, the accident was. But it is pretty hard to see that Francis is still going through some stuff, like
Yeah.
out of all the people, you would just hope that, like, man, he should have it good now. Like after he made it, it's like, just have it good, man. Just live it up.
Yeah, exactly. So, we'll keep you posted on any new information that comes out about that. Like I said, hopefully going to have a video about that out on the channel tomorrow.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's I think pretty much all of the current event stuff that we wanted to touch on, right?
Armin Sarukian is competing in the Pit Submission Series this
Ah,
Friday on Karate Combat,
yes.
along with Mokaev. Actually, Mokaev should be debuting on this card as well.
Are you doing a Karate Combat watch along for that?
I do be working, so we're gonna have to
Ah,
figure out a rewatch kind of thing for it. So
gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what we can do about stuff like that. Maybe we'll jump on at a later time, do the replay stream and all that. But either way, yeah, keep an eye out for that.
yeah, hell yeah.
And I guess that brings us to this coming week's fights. UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Figueiredo. Go over these fights a little bit here, give some initial thoughts. Starting off with the main event, Corey Sandhagen versus Davison Figueiredo. Corey Sandhagen has been a little bit shaky lately, and Figueiredo is a dude who, I think
He
that
wants
he's
gold. That's all you need to know. Like, he wants the motherfucking gold, man.
he can want the gold all he wants, but he's, I think that his run at bantamweight has started off pretty like solidly promising and has been a little bit underwhelming as it goes on, a little bit.
I mean, to be the only person to drop Cheeto Vera, and he did it in the fifth round. Davis Figueiredo is as deadly as they come throughout 5 rounds. Even when it comes to his grappling ability, he is elite when it comes to that. The stand up, he's so measured. He has a style where he pushes the pace, but he doesn't overload you with punches. He waits for that exact moment where he can just line straight down the pipe and just sit you on your ass. I love that about Figgy because he's always ready for a fucking war. Corey Sandhagen is the perfect opponent to get plenty of respect against. People talk about Corey Sandhagen like he's fucking god of this division. Like he can do anything. Even after the Umar loss, people still have faith in him that he has the methods. He's the nerd that can just figure it out. Like, no, I don't buy it. If Davis and Figueiredo overcomes this and beats Corey Sandhagen, I think people should have no more questions about the bantamweight run, in my opinion.
No, well, that was the point I was going to make, is that if he fights anywhere near the same way that he fought in the Umar fight, then this is an open and shut case. Because I mean, like Sandhagen, it was one of the most frustrating performances I can think of, because he had the answers for what Umar was doing, but then didn't do his own offense in order to make it his fight. Like he was defending everything perfectly, he just didn't put up his own offense. So it's like, I mean, will he fix those parts of the game against a much more skilled? Perhaps. I mean, I guess depends on how you look at that part of it. But
No, much more skilled, much more
yeah,
skilled.
at least a much more accomplished, I guess, is how
There
I
you
would
go.
say it.
That's
A
better.
much more accomplished Davison Figueiredo. I mean, this is a former champion we're talking about here in Figueiredo in a different division, of course, but still a champion nonetheless. I mean, it's just to me, it seems like Anakin brings up the fact that Sandhagen is such a huge favorite in this fight.
Makes no sense.
Yeah,
Makes
minus
no sense.
575. You can get Davison Figueiredo for a plus 385 right now. If you're thinking, if you even have an inkling that Figueiredo is going to win this fight, then take it now. I mean, like
Yes.
that line is going to get a lot closer going forward. And I mean, a lot of people feeling like Figueiredo is going to has a decent chance to win. I think the real thing is if he's going to be able to overcome someone as tall as Corey Sandhagen, but Umar is not much bigger than Figueiredo.
Yeah. I think Davidson Figueiredo is one of these dudes that you'll take a lot into consideration when you look at his age. But when you watch him fight, this is not somebody at the end of his career just yet. You can see that it's not necessarily what it once was at flyweight, but he has a different approach to his fight game now. And moving up to bantamweight, he has to be a little more calculated. He can't take too many risks because there are people that will be able to, put him out. Corey Sandhagen is not that guy. I think Davison is going to have a field day. Plus 365 or 385. Guys, this one right here, I think we just hit a fucking good, like, free money glitch. Seriously.
Could be. I mean, you're not worried about the jump knee from
No,
Sandhagen?
no fucking chance.
All right. Well, then there you go.
And
I guess.
Davison eats it if he does. Breakfast.
Yeah, I think that this is an odd an odd weight that they're putting on Corey Sandhagen in this fight. Um, we'll see if if it pays out, but yeah, I mean for that kind of plus money, I mean Figueiredo again, former champion. How the hell they have it as wide a line as it is right now? If you even have a thought, passing thought in your mind about putting some money on Figueiredo, I certainly would do that.
Hell yeah.
All right, Rainier de Ritter versus Bo Nickel. The return of Bo. I know you're a huge fan. What are you thinking about this?
I am gonna hopefully take RDR on this one. I really don't think Bo is as accomplished as a mixed martial artist as he believes himself to be. RDR is somebody who's been through different levels of the game, obviously risen to the top of another promotion. He wants to be a title holder of this promotion as well. Determination will get you a long way. Bo Nickel just has this mentality is like, I'm the best, but I don't really have anywhere that I want to go with it. Like I'm 7-0, but as the best, I can't go challenge for the belt because every time after his fights, he's always like, guys, I'm still working. Like I'm still trying to get better. Like I put in this move. It's like I did this, and it's like, dog, you need to be fucking good. Like it's not every time I'm getting better. It's like we're still not seeing the better. I don't know. And Bo Nickel is one of these dudes that he's got one facet to his game and the other ones are very, very lacking. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a lot of minds were changed after the fight with the Scotsman. So, it certainly puts him in a different perspective than before. Doing what he did with Paul Craig and the weird dance that the two of them were engaged in certainly did not inspire a lot of confidence with anybody, I would say. And Rainier de Ritter, being a very accomplished, a champion in another organization, he might be that rare exception of a dude who comes over to the UFC and surges his way the way that other champions from other organizations have not. So,
yeah.
another one. I mean, the line on this one is pretty juicy as well. I mean, you can get Rainier de Ritter for plus 250 right now, and Bo Nickel as a minus 320. Again, if you're feeling like a gambling man, then that's pretty good money right there.
Yeah, I agree. I like that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is potential because this is going to be such a grapple heavy fight that Bo Nickel, does end up taking it. I would say I wouldn't count Bo out of this one. But, Rainier de Ritter, he certainly has the mentality of a dude who does want to keep going up higher, like Chase outlined. So, this will probably be a lot closer than that line is giving it credit for. I'm going to tentatively.
Oh, well, we lost him again, I believe. So yeah, tentatively he's gonna take Bo Nickel, I believe is what he said. Yikes, that's a horrible pick on his end. But going into the next fight, we definitely have to talk about this one. Santiago Ponzinibbio and Daniel Rodriguez. How this dude, Santiago Ponzinibbio, is able to manage getting these spots on the card. I don't fucking know. Who is actually out here rooting for this dude, ready for him to fucking fight 3 fights off the main event? Who is absolutely asking for this? I need somebody to give me an answer. Chat, tell me. Because I just don't get it. He's not somebody that's a super big threat that you need to look out for on the feet. He's just one of those drunk barroom brawler type of dudes. Like, that's literally all he is. And it's a good matchup because Daniel Rodriguez is exactly that too. He's a dude that's just gonna throw down, and he's gonna go ahead and get this fucking, he's gonna get this money, man. He's gonna fucking give you a fight. And if Ponzinibbio wants to stick around and have that fucking battle with him, he certainly can. But I think Daniel Rodriguez at even money, Vegas don't really know. I think Daniel Rodriguez is going to be my pick here because Ponzinibbio, that last fucking win he had, it was kind of fluky. It wasn't even anything too crazy. So, I'll tentatively, as Thinker would put it, take Mr. Daniel Rodriguez. Holy shit, these dudes are both 38 years old. Wow. 38 years old, guys. Pensioners. I'm hoping to get Thinker back in here so he can give his opinions on this one. But, moving on to the next one, we'll go ahead. We got Montel Jackson and Daniel Marcos. Daniel Marcos, 17-0. I feel like this is another dude that I've seen a couple times, but he just slips through the cracks because he's not putting on an impressive enough performance. A split decision to Adrian Yanez. He beat John Castaneda, who's not really that fucking good. Davey Grant, split decision. God, do I want to bet on him? Montel Jackson, this is the dude that just knocked out Damon Blackshear. Yeah, he did knock him out, but I think it was short notice for Damon. But yeah, God, this one here, -210 for Montel Jackson. Daniel Marcos, 17-0. He's been able to figure out how to get the W's and he's skating by with it. So I don't hate this dog pick, but there's a lot of good dogs that I'm thinking. Oh my goodness, a lot of good dogs that I'm thinking about. A lot of good dogs. But okay, I guess we're done with Thinker for tonight. I guess Thinker is gone. Let me see if he's messaging me so I can keep up with the Joneses. I don't even think that's how you use that. But either way, yeah. Next fight, Cameron Smotherman in Series City. Okay, this one is actually a fight that I'm looking forward to a lot because Series City is the fucking this dude is a Chad. Talk about the warrior spirit. This dude will get bloody and battered, and he will still walk forward and try to get the W. The fact that he's the favorite, that's really good for me because I really would hope he gets a fucking convincing win. But it is hard to say. It's a close line favorite, so it's hard to say on these ones. Vegas, they don't know too much. And Cameron Smotherman, a dude coming off the Contender Series, and he already has 4 losses, though. Oh, actually, he's not off the Contender Series. He jumped right into a card. So, no, he was. No, he was on Contender Series and lost to Gregorio. Who's this dude? Okay. Either way. We're going to take our boy Sarah City. Sarah fucking City is going to be the pick. Hey boys, we're gonna go ahead and finish wrapping this up for you. But Thinker is no longer with us for tonight. There was some unfortunate situation with the internet, and technical difficulties do still exist in this world. And I just want to let you guys know that I still love you, and Thinker did not leave because he hates you. It's because internet companies don't know how to provide us with the service that we are in desperate need of. So anyway, going into the next fight, we're taking Sirius City. I don't know if you guys caught that one. Charlie Zelenoff, or who is this? Who is Zelenoff? Is he on the card? Anyway. Next fight, going into it, Jeremy Stevens and Mason Jones. Now, this is a very interesting one because, as you know, Jeremy Stevens was just in bare knuckle, and he was competing very well. He actually did just beat Eddie Alvarez by TKO. So the fact that Mason Jones is coming out of Wales, coming in here, and he's ready to take on, the hardest hitting 45er in existence. He's actually at 55 for this one, which makes sense. He's a little older now, so he's got to go up a weight class. But this is just some dude from Cage Warriors. He's been in the UFC. He lost to Ludovic Klein. Yeah, I'm not too sold on it. Jeremy Stevens, we'll see if you're still in MMA shape. I know you're in the boxing world now, so you might. Yeah, I know you still have hands, but we'll see how all that good stuff goes when it comes to mixing in the mixed martial arts. Still, it's been a while. It's been a really long time. Whoa, you don't know Zelenov? Oh man, I'm sorry. My bad, virtual impaler podcast. Yeah, I don't. Enlighten me. While we move on to this next fight coming up, we got Yana Santos and Misha Tate. Yana Santos is actually quite interesting because her last fight, she looked so good that after she won, I sat back and thought, wow, we have a really good women's prospect on our hands. And then I found out she's 35 years old and definitely not a prospect. So she beat Chelsea Chandler. That really isn't an impressive win, and then had 3 losses before that. Carol Rosa Holly Holm, Irina Aldana. Yeah, that one's pretty rough to even look at, to be honest. Yeah, Misha Tate. Oh God, it's close line favorite for her, but 38. Oh gosh, this one's tough. I don't know, boys. I don't know. We're gonna have to be on the fence about Yana and Misha. We're we're solid. Don't worry. We are solid. So going into the next one, um, tell me what program this is a restream, and no, it is not free for what we have at the moment. I don't believe. Anyway, going into the next fight, Mr. Ryan Loader and Asmat Bekov. If you remember Asmat, this is the dude who came in here against Zachary Reese on short notice and finished him in the first round via ground and pound. Put him out. It was very, very deadly. Ryan Loader, if you are familiar, this is our tough finale winner. This is the winner of the last Ultimate Fighter series season, whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. But is he great? Not necessarily something that I would say is championship material, but I would just say that uh, yeah, Becca versus Ryan Loader. Sorry, Anakin, you're confusing me because I'm trying to read everything that you're saying. This is why it's a better format with Thinker here. His internet did go out apparently, so I'm finishing up the show, and it's us time. It's the guys, dude. It's just the boys hanging out. So Becca versus Loader, not necessarily the fight that I'm like super excited for. Ryan Loader at a plus 300. I wasn't sold on Beckhoff the first time. Zachary Reese, you really let me down. So tentatively taking Asmat. Sorry, that just came out. I didn't mean that. I really didn't. I think you'll probably win. Okay, next. Marina Rodriguez and Jillian Roberts. Marina Rodriguez is another one of these fighters who, when I watched them for the first time, I said, holy shit, she is fucking good. She has good instincts when it gets to the clinch. She's good with elbows. She's good with knees. She clenches them up and she gets down and dirty. And now I say that, and then I watched her last fight, and she looked really fucking bad. Yasmin Lucindo, Jesus motherfucking Christ. You lose to her, you damn near need therapy. That's ridiculous. Jillian Roberts is another person who will come out here and she'll come out here and take elbows to the spine, to the tailbone, whatever you want to call it, the anus, if you will, and she'll still come out here and fight. I mean, she's just a dog. Shout out Jillian being one of the only Canadians that I would represent, because she is, one, very attractive with her red hair, and two, she's a decent. I mean, she's like a decent mid-level fighter. You know what you're gonna get out of her. It's a fighting performance. I'm hurtfully saying that I'm going to go against Marina Rodriguez and her Nate Diaz build, but Jillian Roberts does probably have the skill set to win this one. As a heavy favorite in women's MMA, you can never be too sure, though. Maybe stay away from this one. That's just me. Maybe stay away from that one. So, going into these last 3 fights, if you want to talk about Gaston Bolanos and Kwang Lee, actually, whoa, this one might be a banger, which is interesting enough because I feel like this matchup already happened. Um, doesn't look like that is true, obviously, but it feels like I've seen this matchup before when I looked at the names together. Gaston is the dude who looks just like Ilya, and he beat Cortavius Romeus, who is no longer in the promotion. I don't know if you guys uh you're over at the Virtual Impaler podcast. I appreciate the offer. We will keep in touch if that is what we so do, but you're distracting me while I'm trying to figure out who is going to win by Gaston Bolanos and Kwang Lee. Now, Kwang Lee, before I lose my voice. Now, Kwang Lee, if you remember, he was on the last card with Yana Figueiredo. Where was this at? Was this Macau? This was Macau. Yes, this was a banger card, and Kwang Lee is one of the reasons because this dude, this is the Vietnam guy. Yes, this is the dude who was in a fucking what's the other dude's name? I forget. Let me just get it so I can talk. Kwang Lee, Xiaolong. Kwang Lee and Xiaolong put on one of the better performances that we've seen. I believe it was the road to the UFC finale too that they were in, or maybe it was just like they were just out of the finale kind of deal, like last year. This that fight was pretty fucking crazy. Kwang Lee is a dude that will fucking fight, and Bolanos is a dude who will trade with you. So I will. Oh man, sorry, Lee got the yeah. Kwang Lee's pretty fucking good. Yeah, the fact that you said Kwang Lee, you are definitely knowing of ball. Bolanos is 8-4, already racking up too many losses. Kwang Lee is a dude that he'll go to war. He'll go to fucking war. I'll tell you that. Okay. Now, the people's main event. Obviously, we have the heavyweights. We have Mr. Thomas Peterson and Dontel Mays. Now, if you asked me to put together two of the worst heavyweights and match them up together, I probably wouldn't be too far off from saying these names. These dudes are on the battle of who's going to get released first. Thomas Peterson would be released because he's just not good at all. 9-3, and you keep losing fights, you're probably not going to have a bright future. And that would make them have a little hope that Dontel Mays can stay for another fight. But on the other end of it, Dontel Mays is 11-8. If he loses this one, he just got submitted by Walter Walker to heel hook. So this dude is actually, these are both Shamil Gaziv's sons, by the way. I forgot they both lost to him. So this one's crazy. I don't know who would even put this on the card. Thankfully, it's not the main event, though. You know how they do the fucking heavyweights. God damn, they fucking love these slobs. I don't know, though. That's just me. Another fight where I would tentatively stay away because Thomas Peterson being the favorite is not very hopeful. That's all I'm saying. So, going into this last fight, we got Juliana Miller and Ivana Petrovic. Croatia, Miss Petrovic. Jamie Lynn Horth. Jamie Lynn was having a pretty decent run right there. And I remember I remember her fight with her because I thought she was actually going to be the one to snap her little, Jamie's little streak. Her opponent is 4-3. Oh, brother. She lost to Luana Santos, Veronica Hardy. Yeah, not too hopeful for her to get the W. Is she the favorite? No, she's the dog. Okay, so take Ivana. That one should be pretty easy. Somebody who's 4-3 shouldn't even be in the UFC because it makes you look it makes the promotion look bad. Like, oh, we just let anybody in here. Hey, you cleaning toilets. Let's go. Get in the ring kind of deal. So I don't know. That one I'm not a big fan of because these first two fights, the women and then the heavyweights, it seems like they just had to get them out the way. The fact that one of the women is actually first, so potentially on paper, they're thinking that's going to be a firefight more than the heavyweights. But alas, this card, super excited for it. Obviously, I'm excited for every fucking card on the weeks that we have fights. Davidson and Corey is a banger headline. I don't know if the card actually fills out as much as you'd hope, especially because this is not a fight night. This is in Des Moines, Iowa. I don't even know if I said that name right, but it is in Iowa, Wells Fargo Arena. And yeah, this is going to happen on Saturday. So if everybody in the chat would do me the honor and come by the individual streams that me and my co-host Thinker St. James, who is no longer here with me at the moment, shout out to him. He will be doing his individual watch alongs on Wait for It to Pass Along the Screen, and I'm going to say it. Subscribe to him, and of course, like the stream. Do not fucking dip out on that one. Like the stream. He doesn't even have the one that says his name. Okay, so if you check out youtube.com/@YamaShow, you will find him doing his individual watch alongs, and he potentially teased that there is going to be a Francis Ngannou video that is coming out tomorrow. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Also, in the background, we do have fresh new merch that I am working on, and I will show you right now. We now have colored options. You can get your very own MMA Hive that is in green or red or blue. Roy G. B, not Biv. We don't got the indigo or violet, but Roy GB, he is definitely linked up with the Hive and got me looking right. So if you guys want to look just like me and have plenty of women hit you up along the daytime and say, wow, where'd you get that shirt? You can certainly reach out to me on Twitter at Creative Partin, Partin, on Instagram at CP Smalls, and of course, youtube.com /@CB Smalls, you will certainly find watch alongs for me doing individual things and having fun times on all the other outlets that I just gave to you. It's a shame that Thinker did not get to finish the stream. We will miss him, but we will be back next Monday to recap all the fights that are happening this Saturday. So I hope everybody has a great night. And I seriously, seriously hope you leave a like and you subscribe and make sure you are a part of the success and the journey and continue supporting us, because we are on to bigger and better things and you just have no idea what is in store. So as of right now, everybody have a great day. I don't even know if the stream's going to stop after I leave. So everybody just figure out how to leave the stream. If it goes on forever, I apologize. Love you guys though. So peace. I can't even do the end screen. I'm sorry, guys. I'll do the song. The start, you know, I would say like stream ended now. You know, sorry, guys. I don't mean to ruin it, but everybody have a great
Change.